Chapter 884. Everyone's love makes me feel very warm. Here, I would like to sincerely thank everyone for their support. My old problem is still the issue of updating, but my slow hand speed and stupid brain are really unsolvable, so I can only ask for everyone's forgiveness. This book has accompanied everyone for more than a year, and it's already at the last stage. As for how long it will be serialized, I have no idea, so I shamelessly ask for everyone's continued support, so that this book can have a dignified ending. Asking for subscriptions, asking for monthly votes, asking for recommendation votes. Students who have spare energy, I hope that you can tip and support this book. Thank you everyone. Oh, intersection. Oh, Naruto's world in the eyes of reincarnation, asking for monthly votes for November. Currently typing, please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 885. As Itachi said, this time Sasuke suffered a great blow. First of all, he watched as Naruto and Fu were kidnapped by Nagato at Mount Myaboku, and he couldn't even move because of fear, and he felt extremely ashamed and remorseful. For him who has always been proud, this timid performance is undoubtedly a disgrace. Under the agitation of his emotions, he even awakened the three Magatama Sharingan in front of Nagato. One must know that in the original timeline, he experienced the night of the extinction of his clan and many life and death battles, and only awakened the three Magatama Sharingan in the first battle against Naruto in the Valley of the End. Compared with the age of 13 in the original timeline, he is now less than 11 years old. Awakening the three Magatama Sharingan is more than 2 years earlier than in the original timeline. Although compared with Jishui, who awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan at the age of 11, he is still slightly inferior, but compared to the average Uchiha, Sasuke is already worthy of the word genius. After returning to the village, he was hit by another bad news. That is, his father, whom he greatly respected, was attacked by Amatsukami, and his precious Manjikyu Sharingan was taken away. This not only made him very sad, but also made him deeply hate Amatsukami, hate Homasubi, who took away his father's Manjikyu Sharingan. For this reason, he vowed in public to take back his father's Manjikyu Sharingan from Amatsukami. After listening to Itachi's story, Hyojin glanced at Itachi and asked, "When are you going to tell him the truth?" After pondering for a while, Itachi said in a pleading tone, "Senpai, I hope that you can hide this from Sasuke as much as possible. Don't let him know about this disgraceful history of the clan." The most radical members of the Uchiha clan had been dealt with on the night of the rebellion. Now, no one in the Uchiha clan mentioned the rebellion again. Therefore, Itachi wanted to cover up the dark history of the Uchiha clan from Sasuke and maintain the positive image of the Uchiha clan and his father, Uchiha Fuyue, in Sasuke's mind. "You'd better think this through." After a pause, Hyojin casually said, "Paper can't hold fire. It's better for you to tell the truth than for him to find out through other channels." Perhaps it was because of his brother complex, but whenever it involved Sasuke, Itachi would subconsciously choose to protect Sasuke instead of trusting Sasuke. Itachi thought for a moment and replied seriously, "Yes, I will consider it carefully." "Forget it, this is your family's matter, you make your own decision." Hyojin thought about it again. For the Uchiha clan that needs intense emotional stimulation to enhance their pupillary power, some misunderstandings and entanglements may not necessarily be a bad thing. When it comes to provoking the Uchiha clan, Kuroda is an expert. In the past, the brothers Uchiha Ryota and Uchiha Hideki awakened their Manjikyu Sharingan at the same time in the stimulation experiment conducted by Hyojin. Hyojin thought about it just now and found that Sasuke is actually a little different from the ordinary Uchiha. Despair, anger, hatred, these conventional negative emotions have a very poor effect on Sasuke. In the original time and space, Sasuke experienced the night of the extinction of his family. His parents and relatives were slaughtered by his beloved brother, but in the end, he only awakened his Sharingan. One must know that Obsidian Sharingan directly evolved from the double Magatama Sharingan to the Manjikyu Sharingan after the death of the girl he loved. Itachi used Tsukuyomi several times to let Sasuke personally experience the scene of his parents' death, but it still couldn't stimulate Sasuke's Sharingan to evolve. On the contrary, in the battle against Zabuza and Haku in the Land of Wave, Sasuke successfully awakened the double Magatama Sharingan in order to protect Naruto. And in the first battle of the Valley of the End, he personally admitted that Naruto is his only friend, and after making up his mind to give up the method of killing his friends to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan, he quietly awakened the triple Magatama Sharingan without any great emotional stimulation. This is even more so when he awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan. According to Itachi's estimation, Sasuke should be able to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan after killing him with his own hands, but the result was that Sasuke still didn't awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan. On the contrary, after knowing the truth of the extinction of his family and understanding everything that his brother Itachi carried, Sasuke awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan. After analyzing it, Hyojin feels that the best emotion to stimulate Sasuke is not the conventional despair, anger, hatred or anything like that, but protection. The object of protection can be a friend, a relative, or even the pride and reputation of the Uchiha clan. Recalling the experience of Sasuke opening the Manjikyu Sharingan in this world, Hyojin became more and more certain of his analysis. The first time Sasuke opened the Manjikyu Sharingan was in the duel with Kimimaro, and what stimulated him to open the Manjikyu Sharingan was not the anger of losing to Kimimaro, but the disappointment on his father's face, as well as the doubts of the surrounding villagers about the strength of the Uchiha clan. It was precisely because of this that his determination to protect the reputation of the Uchiha clan was touched. And this time, awakening the triple Magatama Sharingan is also related to his desire to protect Naruto and Fu, as well as the pride of the Uchiha clan. Thinking of this, Hyojin secretly thought, if the method is right, stimulating Sasuke to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan might be easier than I expected. Soon, the group came to the backyard of the mansion, which is the place where Uchiha Fuyue is currently resting. Itachi, Jishue, and Shinichi stayed outside the house. Hyojin walked into the house alone, and saw that Uchiha Fuyue had lost his eyes, as well as Uchiha Mikoto. After pouring a cup of tea for Hyojin, Uchiha and Mikoto also consciously left, leaving only Hyojin and Fuyue in the house. After sitting for a while, Fuyue finally broke the silence and asked, "Between Jishue and Shinichi, who has joined you? Or have they all sided with you?" Hyojin said with interest, "Why do you ask? Do you think I will believe that both Jishue and Shinichi were quietly defeated in the hands of Amatsukami?" Shaking his head, Fuyue said in an affirmative tone, "One of them must have betrayed the family, or both of them have betrayed the family." Looking at Fuyue with his eyes closed and dry eyelids, Hyojin nodded generously. "You guessed it right. Jishue and Shinichi are my people. Oh, by the way, Itachi is also included." Hyojin felt a little funny. In the past, when Fuyue had eyes, he was blind. He could not see through the minds of the people around him, nor could he see through the minds of his enemies. Now that he had lost his eyes, his mind was clear, and he immediately guessed the traitor beside him. "Second, I'm asking for a guaranteed monthly ticket at the beginning of the month. Please support me. Also, thank you to the students who gave me gifts yesterday. Thank you everyone." Chapter 886. Although he had already guessed all kinds of possibilities, when he really heard Hyojin admit it, Uchiha Fuyue still couldn't hide the surprise on his face. His mouth slightly trembled as he asked, "Why?" Fuyue really can't understand this. Not to mention Jishue, but Itachi and Shinichi's arrogance is very clear to him, so it's hard for him to imagine that Itachi and Shinichi, who have awakened their Manjikyu Sharingan, would betray their family, betray himself, and turn to a Hyuga family. Looking at Fuyu opposite him, Hyojin said slowly, "Jishui has always been one of my people." Fuyua nodded. This point can be seen from the time when Jishui ignored the 3 generations of Naruto and him, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, and brazenly executed Mizuki, who framed Hyojin. Hyojin continued, "When Shinichi defected, he had already been subdued by me. Him going to the Akatsuki organization was also my idea. He was a spy I placed in the Akatsuki organization." Fuyua was startled as if he was struck by lightning. His face was full of disbelief. "What? At that time, Shinichi was already one of your people?" "Yes." Hyojin's expression was indifferent. Fuyua hurriedly asked, "But you were just a Tokubetsu Jonin at that time. How could you subdue Shinichi, who has awakened his Manjikyu Sharingan? Is it because of the dragon vein?" Although he lost his Sharingan, because he was worried about the safety of his family, Fuyua still paid close attention to the situation in the village these days. Naturally, he knew that Hyojin had the dragon vein. After all, Hyojin released the dragon vein directly on the Naruto rock. Many villagers and ninjas in the village witnessed the dragon vein with their own eyes. This matter couldn't be covered up at all. Hyojin didn't explain, tacitly agreeing with Fuyua's guess. Fuyua seemed to have thought of something again and said in surprise, "Then, the last time we sent the message to the Uchiha clan to help Shinichi return to the village, was it also you who secretly arranged it?" Hyojin didn't deny it. "I happened to be busy at the time, so I had to ask you to make the trip." Fuyua had a miserable look on his face. In order to prevent Jishui from leaking the secret of the family's rebellion, he has always asked Shinichi to monitor Jishui. Now that he thinks about it, it is simply a farce. Then Fu asked again, "What about Itachi, when did he join you?" "It's about that time, I guess." After a pause, Hyojin smiled and said, "He didn't let me down. He awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan early on. He is a very capable subordinate." Fuyua was completely speechless. How could he know about his son's awakening of the Manjikyu Sharingan before an outsider, and it was only after he fought with his son that he found out about it. Moreover, he thought that Itachi, Jishui, and Shinichi joined Hyojin after Hyojin became the 5th Naruto. He didn't expect that the 3 of them had already become Hyojin's subordinates as early as a few years ago. This is really absurd, so absurd that even when Hyojin put the truth in front of him, he still couldn't accept it. After a while, Fuyua still murmured in an incredulous tone, "You actually secretly subdued the 3 Manjikyu Sharingan of our Uchiha clan. This is incredible." Hyojin sipped his tea leisurely and said, "Your failure, in the final analysis, is your own fault. You are actually not suitable to be the patriarch, especially the patriarch of a wealthy family like the Uchiha clan." Listening to Hyojin's evaluation of himself, Fuyua's face was cloudy, alternating between red and white, and after a while, he calmed down and sighed with a sad look. "Hey, can you tell me what I did wrong? Not being able to solve the problem is the biggest mistake." After glancing at Fuyua, Hyojin said leisurely, "Since you, the patriarch of the clan, can't find a solution to the problem, then Jishui and Itachi will naturally find a solution by themselves. So that's how it is." Thinking of the current situation of the Uchiha clan, Fuyua's expression became more and more depressed. "It seems that they are right to join you, at least to protect our Uchiha clan." Hyojin asked, "Now you should understand what you did wrong, right?" Fuyua nodded and immediately showed an unwilling expression. "Actually, I didn't want to come to this step, but I can't accept it. Why can't our Uchiha clan become Naruto? Sigh, if I had known that this would happen, I should have chosen to give in at the beginning. It's just, I really can't accept it." Looking at Fuyua's unwilling face, Hyojin knew in his heart that although he had resolved the conflict between the Uchiha clan and the village this time, the resentment between the 2 sides still existed. As long as the position of Naruto was still not fated with the Uchiha clan, then one day, the conflict would intensify again, and the next generation, the conflict would erupt again. There was only one way to solve this problem, and that was to let the Uchiha clan become Naruto, even if it was only once. Therefore, Hyojin said lightly, Itachi will be the 6th generation Naruto. Splash! Fuyue was stunned for a moment, and then his body suddenly leaned forward, instantly knocking over the tea in front of him, and said with a look of surprise, You're not kidding, are you? Fuyue, who was in front of him, had lost his eyes, but Hyojin, who was sitting opposite him, felt an inexplicable feeling of being watched. This is the gaze from the spirit body? After being stunned for a moment, Hyojin thought to himself, Tisk, even I can't do this kind of thing. How did he do it? He's actually so emotional. Isn't it just the position of Naruto? Is there a need for that? Immediately, Hyojin nodded. Of course I'm serious. Itachi is different from you. He has the qualifications to become Naruto. Among the few kaleidoscopes of the Uchiha clan, only Itachi was the most suitable to become Naruto. As for the others, Jishui was too simple. To put it bluntly, she was not black-hearted enough and ruthless enough. She was suitable to carry out tasks, but not suitable to make tasks. Shinichi was too undisciplined, and the indecisive Fuyue was not even qualified to become the clan leader of the Uchiha clan, let alone become Naruto. If you can really fulfill your promise just now. After a pause, Uchiha Fuyue bowed respectfully to Hyojin. Then the whole Uchiha clan is willing to serve you, Naruto-sama. If it was someone else who promised this, Fuyue would scoff at it. However, these words came from the mouth of Hyojin, the 5th generation Naruto. He faintly looked forward to it, because from the conversation just now, he had realized that Hyojin was not the puppet Naruto that was supported by Naruto's faction. Instead, he was a leader with real means and shrewdness. Hearing that Fuyue had even changed the way he addressed him, Hyojin smiled. I told you the truth, but it's not without conditions. I'll give you the first update and I'll ask for a guaranteed monthly ticket. Chapter 887. Fuyue asked with a serious look on his face. May I know what the conditions are? Hyojin said, when the village asks you in the future, whether it is about the whereabouts of your Manjikyu Sharingan or about your defeat at the hands of Amatsukumi's Homasubi, you must be consistent with me. Fugaku answered without hesitation, that's not a problem. Naturally, he would not take the initiative to expose the fact that Itachi had awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan, and he would not reveal to the village that his Manjikyu Sharingan was in Itachi's hands. But soon, he asked the question in his heart, Itachi, did he join Amatsukumi? After learning that Itachi had awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan, he had this suspicion, because the Susan of the male Homasubi in Amatsukumi was too similar to his own Susan. Hyojin said, You don't need to know about this, and it's best not to inquire about it, it's not good for you and Itachi. Fuyue pondered for a moment, and finally nodded. He knew very well that he was now a useless person, and if he knew too many secrets, it would be easy to become the source of secrets leaked. So not knowing anything was a kind of protection for himself and Itachi. Hyojin then said, In addition to the consistency of the statement, I may need some of your cooperation in the matter of Sasuke. Hearing Hyojin suddenly mention Sasuke, Fuyue suddenly became nervous. Sasuke? What does this have to do with him? Sasuke's potential is far higher than you think. After a little sigh, Hyojin explained the shortcomings of the Manjikyu Sharingan and the method to fuse with the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan to Fuyue. Eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. Fuyue was a little absent-minded after hearing this. Many secrets of the Uchiha clan have been lost because of the departure of Uchiha Madara. Before Fuyue and Jishui awakened Manjikyu Sharingan, one after another, there was little information about Manjikyu Sharingan in the Uchiha clan, let alone the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. Therefore, even for Patriarch Fuwa of the Uchiha clan, this is the first time he has heard of the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, so he asked, "Even I don't know this information about the Sharingan, why do you know it so clearly?" Hyojin just lightly knocked on the table, and did not answer. Fuwa reacted quickly. "All right, I won't ask any more." Hyojin emphasized, "You are no longer the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, you have to get used to your current identity, don't interfere, and don't ask too many questions." Fuwa nodded, then sighed softly, "Hey, so you let Itachi take away my Manjikyu Sharingan in order to fuse with the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. Well, at least my Manjikyu Sharingan won't be wasted." Fugaku immediately asked in confusion, "Since two pairs of Manjikyu Sharingan that are connected by blood can fuse into a pair of eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, then why didn't you choose Itachi, who has already awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan, instead of Sasuke? If Itachi was chosen, wouldn't he be able to fuse the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan immediately?" Hyojin casually explained, "This is Itachi's choice. He left the opportunity to have the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan to Sasuke. What he said is only one of the reasons. The more important reason is that Sasuke, like Madara, is also the reincarnation of Indra, so he has a higher probability of awakening the Rinnegan. It must be known that the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan and the Hashirama cells are not enough to awaken the Rinnegan. Hyojin has done a similar experiment on Jishue before. When Jishue was transplanted with the Hashirama cells, Hyojin deliberately replaced the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan in the eye socket. As a result, although the transplant was successful, the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan did not evolve into the Rinnegan. Even Madara Uchiha, as a successful example, barely awakened the Rinnegan many years after the transplanting of the Hashirama cells, almost a period of time before his death. Therefore, although Sasuke has not awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan now, because of Indra's high-intensity Yin release chakra, his potential is actually above Itachi. After all, in addition to the Otsutsuki family, only Madara Uchiha and him have awakened the Rinnegan. After learning that it was Itachi's decision, Fuwa smiled with relief, and there was no doubt on his face. If Naruto-sama really wants to fuse the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan for Sasuke, I can agree to all the conditions, even if I have to sacrifice my life, I am willing to do so. Kuroto himself has the Manjikyu Sharingan, so he knows very well what kind of price he needs to pay to stimulate Sasuke to open his Manjikyu Sharingan, and in his opinion, if he can exchange his body for Sasuke's eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, it is really a good deal. I also need the scroll of Izanagi's forbidden technique. On the way here, Itachi mentioned to Hyojin that he did not find the scroll of Izanagi's forbidden technique in the family vault. Fuwa was a little surprised. It seems that he did not expect Hyojin to make this request, and then shook his head helplessly. "I'm sorry, the scroll of Izanagi's forbidden technique has been lost." "Lost?" Hyojin frowned and said, "How is this possible?" Fuwa replied, "When Uchiha Madara ran away, he took with him almost all the secret techniques and forbidden technique scrolls of the family. Although the family later copied a scroll of Izanagi's forbidden technique, it was inexplicably lost a long time ago." Hyojin narrowed his eyes. "How was it lost?" After hesitating for a moment, Fuwa said, "My father suspects that it was taken away by the second Dame-sama, because at that time, only the second Dame-sama, who had mastered the Flying Thunder God technique, could sneak into the secret vault quietly, but we have no evidence. Along with the scroll of Izanagi's forbidden technique, there is also a lot of precious information of our Uchiha clan." Second Dame-sama? Hyojin pondered for a moment and found that there is such a possibility. Because whether it is the original time and space or the current time and space, Danzo has mastered the forbidden technique Izanagi of the Uchiha clan, and he mastered it before the Uchiha clan was exterminated, so the way he learned the forbidden technique Izanagi is worth pondering. And Hyojin vaguely remembered that the second Dame-sama did study the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan in depth. If there is a lot of information of the Uchiha clan lost with the scroll of Izanagi's forbidden technique, then it is unlikely that the thief is an ordinary thief. It is possible that the thief is targeting the second Dame-sama of the Uchiha clan. Because of the second Dame-sama's style, he even prepared to secretly dissect the body of Uchiha Madara, so stealing information is something he can do. And without Uchiha Madara, no one can stop him from sneaking into the Uchiha clan. The second update is here. I continue to ask for a guaranteed monthly ticket. Students who have monthly tickets, please support me. In addition, thank you to the students who gave gifts yesterday. Thank you everyone. Chapter 888. Please spray lightly, beg for mercy. The world of Naruto in the eyes of reincarnation is taking a day off. Currently in the middle of typing. Please wait a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 889. The information provided by Fuyua answered one of Hyojin's doubts. That is, whether it is in the original universe or in this universe, why did the Uchiha clan not share the forbidden technique Izanagi within the clan? One must know that activating Izanagi doesn't require any Manjikyu Sharingan. Any ordinary Sanmagatama Sharingan can be activated. But the real Izanagi activated by the Uchiha clan, whether it is the duration of the forbidden technique or the effective time of the forbidden technique, it can be adjusted within a certain range according to the will of the caster. It is by no means comparable to the monkey version of Izanagi like Danzo, whose duration is limited to 1 minute. If one's pupil power is strong enough, Izanagi can even change the fate of dozens of people at once. In the original spacetime, when Filthy Earthweasel was explaining the two forbidden techniques Izanagi and Izanami to Sasuke, there was a scene where someone used Izanagi and changed the death order of dozens of people around him. Therefore, Izanagi can not only change the fate of the caster, but it can also be regarded as a group resurrection technique with a strict time limit. Although spreading Izanagi is not necessarily a good thing for the Uchiha clan. But for the Uchiha clan who is already standing on the edge of the cliff, once the rebellion fails, the hidden danger of spreading Izanagi is not a big deal at all. Any sane patriarch would not hesitate to share Izanagi with the entire clan to further improve the combat effectiveness of the clan. Imagine if every Uchiha who has 3 Sanmagatama Sharingan has 2 lives to squander, and they can artificially create an opportunity to escape by delaying resurrection and other means, then even if Obsidian, Itachi, and Root join forces, they may not be able to kill all the Uchiha clan in one night. Now, it seemed that Fuyua didn't do it, not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't have the scroll of Izanagi's forbidden technique. After pondering for a while, Hyojin thought to himself, if the one who stole the Izanagi scroll was really Second Sama, then it makes sense that Danzo knows Izanagi. As a result, there are only 2 places in the shinobi world that have Izanagi's forbidden technique. One is the Akatsuki organization, which is the current Obsidian organization's collection of forbidden techniques, Sharingan, transplanting first-generation cells, creating white Zetsu, and a series of Uchiha Madara's collection. The other place was the root of the Danzo. It's just that the root of the Danzo has long been absorbed by the village, and Hyojin is not sure whether the information about the Sharingan was found when the village absorbed the root of the Danzo. At this time, Fuyua suddenly left the table and walked into the room. After a while, he came out with a scroll and handed it to Hyojin. This is another forbidden technique of the Uchiha clan, you may have a use for it. Hyojin took the scroll and asked casually, Izanami? Fuyua was startled for a moment and immediately smiled bitterly. I didn't expect Naruto-sama to even know this. Yes, this is the scroll of Izanami's forbidden technique. Hyojin curiously opened the scroll and said, Very good, this is exactly what I want. The forbidden technique Izanami is actually a kind of forced thought correction. Only by letting go of the obsession in the heart and returning to the true self can they get out of the fate cycle created by Izanami. Once they fall into the fate cycle of Izanami, even if they use Izanami, they will not be able to escape. To some extent, the birth of Izanami is to restrain Izanami, who is trying to escape the fate of Izanami. Uchiha Hiri, looking at the name of the developer of Izanami, marked on the scroll, Hyojin whispered. Hearing Fugaku's words, Fugaku explained, Uchiha is the strongest person of the Uchiha clan who awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan several decades ago, and the forbidden jutsu Izanami was developed by her. Hyojin gently nodded. I know. Through Itachi, Hyojin has already read the genealogy of the Uchiha clan, and he knows that this Uchiha Hiri is a younger generation than Uchiha Madara of the Uchiha clan. The time when she awakened her Manjikyu Sharingan is about the end of the second generation to the beginning of the 3 generations, that is, the period when the first shinobi war broke out. At the same time, she is also the only female Manjikyu Sharingan owner in the records of the Uchiha clan. However, shortly after she awakened her Manjikyu Sharingan, she released the forbidden technique Izanami and lost one of her Manjikyu Sharingan in order to coordinate the power struggle within the Uchiha clan due to the departure of the previous patriarch Uchiha Madara, so she quickly retired and didn't leave too many records in the village. Only a few people in the Uchiha clan know that she awakened her Manjikyu Sharingan. Hyojin asked, what happened to her remaining Manjikyu Sharingan? Fuyue replied honestly, because she didn't want her Manjikyu Sharingan to cause disputes, so according to her last wish, her remaining Manjikyu Sharingan was cremated together with her body. Is that so? Hyojin nodded and didn't say anything more. Uchiha Sharingan is obviously the same as Jishue. He is a rare Virgin Mary type of Uchiha. This type of Uchiha has one characteristic, that is, they are talented and gentle, they can easily awaken their Manjikyu Sharingan without much stimulation, and they don't care about their Manjikyu Sharingan at all. Especially Jishue, in the original story, after his Manjikyu Sharingan was stolen by Danzo, any normal person would have the idea of taking back their Manjikyu Sharingan. On the other hand, Uchiha was afraid of making a big deal out of this matter and intensifying the conflict between the Uchiha clan and the village, so he committed suicide. Therefore, Kuroto wasn't surprised that Uchiha destroyed his Manjikyu Sharingan. After carefully reading the scroll of Izanami's forbidden technique, Hyojin nodded with satisfaction. Because he himself is a user of the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, he can be sure that the scroll of Izanami's forbidden technique in his hand is authentic. Everything that needs to be said has been said, and everything that needs to be said is in his hand. After putting away the scroll of Izanami's forbidden technique, Hyojin said goodbye to Fuyue. Izanami is now a secret card in Hyojin's hand. Because Uchiha Sharingan awakened Uchiha Sharingan after Uchiha Madara left and developed Izanami, not long after that, he retired. Therefore, there are only a few ninjas in the ninja world who know about this forbidden technique. Hyojin even suspects that Uchiha Madara might not know about the existence of Izanami. Therefore, if Hyojin uses Izanami to plot against Obsidian or Dodo, it might have a miraculous effect. The first update is here. It's going to be a new week soon, and the list will be updated. Please recommend and support it. It's no trouble at all. Thank you. Also, I would like to thank the students who gave me tips yesterday and today. Thank you. Chapter 890. After leaving the land of the Uchiha clan, Hyojin walked towards the Hyuga clan while thinking about the matter of asking for a reward from the village. Now that he had successfully solved the rebellion of the Uchiha clan, not only did he avoid an internal strife in the village, but he also eliminated the negative impact of the rebellion of the number 1 clan in the village. Moreover, he also retained more than half of the combat power of the Uchiha clan, which could be said to be a happy ending. Judging from this result, A mere 200 million yen commission was definitely worth it. The village should not renege on the debt. It was just that the 200 million yen commission was easy to calculate, but the subsequent additional remuneration for handling the Manjikyu Sharingan was a bit difficult to calculate. Because according to the previous agreement, Amatsukami could collect some extra commission for every pair of Manjikyu Sharingan that Mai kept when suppressing the rebellion of the Uchiha clan. However, the 3 pairs of Manjikyu Sharingan that the Uchiha clan had on the surface, Jishui and Shinichi did not touch, but Fuyue's Manjikyu Sharingan was nominally taken away by Amatsukami. After all, it was not a small matter for a pair of Manjikyu Sharingan to leak out, and with the importance the village attached to the Manjikyu Sharingan, it would probably be a big deal. I can't directly talk to the advisory elder group as Amatsukami, especially that old fox 3 generations. He is very shrewd, and if I have too much contact with him, I'm afraid I will be exposed, but I can't do it without the presence of the advisory elder group, otherwise the village will not recognize it. It seems that if I want to get this commission as soon as possible, I need to use a little more tricks. Thinking along the way, it did not take long for Hyojin to arrive at the Hyuga clan. Looking at Hyojin, who was wearing the Naruto robe, the Hyuga clan in the clan land saluted him, their faces full of reverence and pride. While Hyojin returned the salute, he secretly observed the expressions of the clansmen, and found that there was an inexplicable hidden emotion in everyone's eyes. It seems that the matter of Hyuga Aoki has spread in this regard. Kuroda had also expected this. Because too many people have seen Hyuga Aoki that night, especially the group of Umbu led by Asma, they even fought with Hyuga Aoki, so the fact that Hyuga Aoki is still alive can't be concealed at all. And the fact that Hyuga Aoki was still alive was tantamount to a bolt from the blue for the Hyuga clan. This means that Hyuga Aoki has broken the cage bird curse, that has never been broken for hundreds of years. At the same time, it also means that the absolute control of the main branch has been broken. With the conservative tradition of the Hyuga clan, one can imagine how great the impact is. This wasn't just a blow to the main clan, it was also a blow to the branch clan. Because once the caged bird lost its effect, the branch clan would be freed from its shackles, but at the same time, it would lose its protection. In the current era of medical ninjutsu, it is not like the Warring States period of 100 years ago. There is no technical problem with changing the eye. Whether it is the 5 great ninja villages or some small ninja villages, almost all have mastered this technology. So once Hyuga Aoki spreads the method of breaking the caged bird, then every Hyuga clan member may become a target for hunting. Unlike the Uchiha clan, almost everyone in the Hyuga clan can open the Byakugan, so many of the Hyuga clan members are only at the level of Chunin, and the old, weak, women and children are even worse. So as long as there is the support of the corresponding intelligence, an ordinary jonin can easily hunt many Hyuga clan members. After a while, Hyojin came to the main house of the main clan. The atmosphere in the main house is more depressing than outside. The people inside all seem to be in a hurry, and there seems to be no morning hall in the house. Did they hide it? Hyojin said to himself as he walked inside. Obviously, the main clan should have hidden the fact that Hyuga Aoki sneaked into the main house a few days ago, killed the main clan elder, and took away a pair of Byakugan. However, it is understandable for the main clan to do so. Now, just the fact that Hyuga Aoki didn't die had already stirred up all the clansmen of the Zone clan. If it was announced that Hyuga Aoki had quietly killed an elder of the Zone clan, it would be tantamount to adding fuel to the fire. Speaking of which, Hyuga Aoki has killed 2 main clan elders. The debt between the 2 brothers and the main clan should be considered even. Thinking of this, Hyojin felt pity for the puppet that Hyuga Aoki used before. Hyojin doesn't care much about the puppet, because no matter how good the puppet body is, it is not as good as his clone body. What he feels pity for is the pair of Byakugan on the puppet. One must know that once the caged bird is engraved, it is irreversible. Even if Hyojin has the Tenseigan and controls a giant Tenseigan, he can't remove the caged bird curse, engraved on his soul at present. He can only make the caged bird curse temporarily ineffective. And this kind of invalidation is essentially an interference, it is not a real removal. Therefore, in the shinobi world, there are very few Byakugan that have not been infected by the caged bird curse, at all, only a few pairs of the main clan and the pair of Otsutsuki samurai. Therefore, every pair of Byakugan that has not been infected by the caged bird curse is extremely precious. Even if the number is not enough to fuse into a giant Tenseigan, it can still be used as nourishment for the giant Tenseigan, or important experimental material. And Hyojin speculates that in order to completely remove the caged bird curse, it may be necessary to reach the true six-path level, and the soul must be strong enough to stay in the world without a physical body. Otherwise, even if one dies, they will not be able to escape the shackles of the caged bird curse. Richa, who was resurrected by the Edo Tenseigan in the original spacetime, still has the caged bird curse on his forehead is the most typical example. Learning of Hyojin's arrival, Patriarch Hayashi and the remaining two elders of the main clan hurriedly came to greet him. As soon as they met, Hayashi asked straightforwardly, "Kuroto, you should have heard about the matter of Hyoki Aoki, right? Have you found any trace of him in the village?" "There is no news of him at the moment," Hyojin replied, and immediately looked at Hayashi and the two elders of the main clan. Although Hayashi had a look of anxiety on his face, there was no trace of fear in his eyes. However, the two elders behind him were different. Their eyes flickered with unease, and it was obvious that they were frightened out of their wits. Suddenly, Hayashi bowed deeply to Hyojin and pleaded, "Kuroto, with your vision, you should know that the caged bird is not only a method used by the main clan to control the branch family, it is also a kind of protection for the branch family. And in recent years, you should also have noticed that our main clan has rarely used the caged bird to punish the branch family, so please help us find Hyoki Aoki." The two Zone clan elders hesitated for a moment before lowering their heads and bowing to Kuroto. Looking at the three elders bowing to him, Hyojin intentionally pondered for a moment, and then said, "As far as I know, the reason why Hyoki Aoki can avoid the caged bird is related to the Otsutsuki clan on the moon. If you want me to help you, then you must tell me everything you know about the Otsutsuki clan. Today is Monday and the leaderboard will be updated. I implore everyone to vote for me. It's no trouble at all, please." Chapter 891. Hayashi's eyes narrowed, he was taken aback. The two elders behind him also had a strange look on their faces as they looked at Kuroto. Hyojin said calmly, "You don't have to be surprised. The village is not ignorant about the Otsutsuki family. As the village's fifth-generation Naruto, I naturally know a little about them." After weighing the pros and cons for a while, Hayashi turned his head and exchanged glances with the two elders of the Zone clan, and after exchanging a few glances, he said to Suijin, "Then, come with me." After they came to the study, Hayashi and Hyojin talked about the relationship between the family and the Otsutsuki family on the moon. Hyojin listened very carefully. One of the purposes of his trip was to learn more about the distant relatives on the moon through the family, so as to prepare for the capture of the giant Tenseigan on the moon in the future. After all, he did not even know how to get to the moon at this time. However, to his regret, the family obviously did not know much about the distant relatives on the moon. Most of what they told him was about their historical origins. As for how to get to the moon, how to contact the Otsutsuki family on the moon, and other key information, the family did not know anything. Are they so ill-informed? Hyojin frowned and said, "Did the two sides break off in history? Is it because of the rebellion of the Otsutsuki family hundreds of years ago?" The family's limited understanding of the Otsutsuki family on the moon undoubtedly meant that the two sides should have had a conflict in history, so they broke off contact. At this time, Hayashi, who had been talking, stopped. "That's all we know." Hyojin glanced at Hayashi and asked, "What did the Otsutsuki family want to meet you last time?" "This." After a little hesitation, Hayashi sighed. "Well, since you asked, I'll tell you directly. The last time the Otsutsuki family sent a letter to meet us, they wanted to ask us for the giant." "Hayashi, don't talk nonsense about things that have no basis." Without waiting for Hayashi to finish his words, an elder from the Zone clan interrupted him. Hayashi hesitantly opened his mouth, but chose to remain silent in the end. The branch family not only has Naruto, but also Hyuga Aoki, who can avoid the cage bird curse seal. The pressure brought by this to the main family is too great, so Hayashi also understands that if the main family wants to stabilize the situation, they can only rely on the giant Tenseigan. Of course, Hayashi also suspects that Hyuga Aoki found the giant Tenseigan and obtained the ability to avoid the cage bird curse seal, but before confirming it, he still has some hope in his heart. And he is also worried that after telling Hyojin about the giant Tenseigan, Hyojin will covet it. Looking at Hayashi, who wanted to say something, Hyojin didn't continue to ask anything, but just said casually, "If the Otsutsuki family contacts you again, please be sure to inform me in time." After that, Hyojin left the study room without looking back. These people of the main family always hope to stabilize the situation and maintain the tradition, but they don't understand that the shinobi world has reached an era of change. The only thing that can't be determined is who will lead this change. Kuroto wasn't the slightest bit angry at the Zone clan's wariness towards him. In fact, he didn't even put it in his heart because such a Zone clan would definitely be eliminated by the passing of time. There was no need to waste time on them. Early the next morning, in the soft morning light, Tsunade and Mute walked on the tree-lined path to the Nara clan's medicine field. Both the Nara clan and the Akito clan run a large-scale medicine field, and they are well-known suppliers of medicinal herbs in the village. Hyojin has purchased a lot of medicinal herbs from these two clans. Tsunade and Mute went to the Nara clan's medicine field today to purchase a batch of medicinal herbs for my hospital. At this moment, Tsunade's face suddenly sank, and she looked at the dense forest on the side. Mute beside her asked curiously, "Sensei, what's wrong with you?" Tsunade replied, "There seems to be someone in the forest." Mute was a little puzzled. There is no training ground in this forest, who would be in it so early in the morning? This chakra, it seems to be mirage. After a pause, Tsunade walked towards the forest and said, "Let's go in and take a look." Mirage? What is he doing in this forest so early in the morning? After being stunned for a moment, Mute quickly followed Tsunade. Soon, Tsunade and Mute found Hyojin in the forest, and not only that, they also found that Hyojin was talking with Homusubi of Amatsukami. Amatsukami? Both of them were shocked at the same time. Their movement seemed to have alerted Hyojin and Homusubi of Amatsukami. They heard Hyojin shout, "Who's there?" Tsunade did not hide and walked out directly. She stared at Homusubi of Amatsukami, who was wearing a flame mask, and said, "We happened to pass by and found someone in the forest, so we came in to take a look." Hyojin carefully looked at Tsunade and Mute, then said, "You came at the right time. Amatsukami found me, and they are talking about the commission." "Commission?" Tsunade immediately reacted and turned to Homusubi of Amatsukami and said, "I am the advisory elder of Amatsukami. I have the right to participate in the discussion about the commission." As one of the top leaders of Mai, Tsunade naturally knew that Amatsukami hired Amatsukami to suppress the rebellion of the Uchiha clan, so it was not surprising that Amatsukami wanted to meet with Hyojin, the fifth Naruto, to ask for the commission. However, Amatsukami took away Fuyue's pair of Manjikyu Sharingan this time, so she felt that it was necessary to negotiate with Amatsukami. Hyojin also said to Homusubi of Amatsukami, "Yes, without the participation of the advisory elder group, even if I agree, the village will not agree." At this time, Homusubi of Amatsukami coldly looked at Tsunade and Mute. After all, Tsunade is the granddaughter of Hashirama, so she has experienced all kinds of storms and waves, so she is not afraid of Homusubi at all. But the Mute beside her is different. When Homusubi stared at him, he subconsciously took a step back, revealing the fear in his heart. But this is also normal. In the current shinobi world, let alone ordinary ninjas, even the kage of the major shinobi villages would feel nervous when facing Amatsukami. This is mainly because the achievements of Amatsukami are too dazzling. Especially this time, they quietly killed the 3 Manjikyu of the Uchiha clan, suppressed the entire Uchiha clan, and made the rebelling Uchiha clan unable to even walk out of the gate of the clan, which is shocking and frightening. Here's the first update, asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Chapter 892. Humph. At this time, Tsunade coldly snorted in response to the slightly provocative gaze of Amatsukami's fire demon. Mute on the side also regained some courage after hearing Homusubi's cold snort. He stepped forward and returned to his original position, standing beside Tsunade with a sullen face. Homusubi retracted his gaze and turned to Hyojin and said coldly, "I'm not interested in wasting time with Mai. When will Mai pay the 350 million commission?" Without waiting for Kuroto to answer, Shizuka exclaimed, 350 million? Tsunade frowned slightly and said, "Isn't Amatsukami too much? Didn't you say 200 million? How did it suddenly rise to 350 million for no reason?" Glancing at Tsunade calmly, Hyojin immediately said with a dignified expression, "Please forgive us, Mai can't accept such a request." Mute looked at Tsunade and Hyojin, then looked at Homusubi wearing the flame mask, and said anxiously in her heart, "Sensei and Kuroto refused, won't this anger Amatsukami?" She was a little nervous, but at the same time, she admired Sensei Tsunade and Hyojin's calmness. Homusubi's tone was still cold. 200 million is the commission for suppressing the Uchiha clan's rebellion, and the other 150 million is the commission for Mai to preserve the Manjikyu Sharingan as much as possible. This is what we agreed before. Mute, who was very sensitive to money, blurted out, "What, 150 million? Doesn't that mean a pair of Manjikyu Sharingan costs 50 million? Is it that expensive?" 50 million was enough for Tsunade to lose a year's worth of money in the ninja world. In Mute's eyes, it was definitely a huge sum of money. Tsunade sneered and said, "Humph, you really know how to calculate. Since you mentioned the Manjikyu Sharingan, then how do you explain Uchiha Fuyue's Manjikyu Sharingan?" Uchiha Fuyue is a bit tricky. In order to keep the situation under control, we can only choose to take away his Manjikyu Sharingan. After a short pause, Homusubi continued, "Well, Uchiha Fugaka's pair is not included in the commission. The commission is a total of 300 Ryo. When will you pay it?" Mute was secretly happy. She didn't expect that Tsunade's argument would suddenly save the village 50 million. But Tsunade was still not satisfied and said, 50 million for a pair of Manjikyu Sharingan is indeed not expensive. Mai can accept the 100 million from Jishue and Shinichi, but you broke your promise and took away Uchiha Fuyue's pair of Manjikyu Sharingan without authorization. You have to give us an explanation. What explanation do you want? Homusubi looked at Tsunade. His eyes were extremely cold. Feeling the cold aura emanating from Homusubi, Mute's heart was in her throat. Her heart was beating like a drum, and she thought, Oh no, Sensei seems to have angered Homusubi. At this moment, Hyojin also said, "It's very simple. Either Amatsukami returns Uchiha Fuyue's pair of Manjikyu Sharingan to us, or you waive the commission." Mute suddenly looked at Hyojin in surprise. She really didn't expect that Kuroda would be the same as her sensei, Tsunade, not afraid of the power of Homusubi, so she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Kuroda is indeed a Hokage. Tsunade also seemed to agree with Hyojin's words. Yes, either return the pair of Manjikyu Sharingan to us, or waive the commission. Homusubi was silent. With Homusubi's sudden silence, the atmosphere suddenly became a lot more solemn. Did it break down? Mute put her hands in her sleeves to prevent her slightly trembling hands from revealing her nervousness. At this moment, which seemed to be extremely long, Homusubi finally spoke. Then how much commission is my going to pay? Phew, Mute secretly breathed a sigh of relief. As long as Homusubi was willing to negotiate, everything would be fine. Tsunade replied immediately, 200 million. Her psychological expectation was to pay 250 million to Amatsukami, which was also the consensus of the advisory elder group, but in order to facilitate bargaining, she deliberately lowered the commission. Homusubi did not hesitate and said resolutely, "That's impossible." Hyojin supported Tsunade. "The advisory elder's decision is my decision, and also Mai's decision." Homusubi's tone was cold. "If Mai chooses to renege on the debt, then I'm afraid our cooperation will be suspended, and the safety of this village will not be guaranteed by then." Hyojin's face darkened and he said sternly, "How dare you threaten me?" Homusubi stared coldly at Hyojin. "I'm just stating an obvious fact. Our Mai will never be threatened." After a pause, Hyojin said with incomparable toughness, "If you don't believe me, Amatsukami can come and try." Seeing that Hyojin and Homusubi's negotiation was getting more and more strained, not only was Mute shocked, but even Tsunade could not keep her calm. She hurriedly said, "Our base price is 250 million. What do you think?" Hyojin immediately turned his head to look at Tsunade, his eyes full of confusion. Tsunade secretly gave Hyojin a look, signaling Hyojin to calm down and not act impulsively. Hyojin looked indignant, but he did not say anything more. 300 million is our base price. After a pause, the Flame Devil continued to say calmly, "However, if both of you can pay the commission within 3 days, I can consider taking 1/10 of the commission as a favor fee for both of you." "What?" Tsunade and Mute were both shocked. Hyojin said righteously, "Are you kidding me? Are you trying to shut our mouths with rebates? Do you think our Mai's Naruto and the advisory elder are greedy people?" Homusubi said lightly, "Of course, you can also choose not to take it, but the 300 million commission will not be less." Mute's mouth opened wide. 10%? Isn't that 30 million? When Tsunade heard this, she instantly lost her composure. She coughed lightly. "Ahem, I've thought about it carefully. I don't think it's necessary to destroy the harmonious cooperation between our Mai and Amatsukami just for a small commission. How about this? The 5th Hokage and I will urge the village to pay the commission as soon as possible. As for the rebates, no, as for the favor." Ahem. Mute immediately took a step forward. "As for the favor, we will deduct it directly. When the time comes, we will pay you 270 million. What do you think?" Homusubi emphasized, "Settle the matter within 3 days, only then will you get the favor." Mute nodded repeatedly. "Yes, please don't worry." Swoosh, at this moment, under Hyojin and Mute's surprised gaze, Tsunade threw a punch at Homusubi without warning. Here's the second update, asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Also, thank you to the students who tipped yesterday. Thank you everyone. Chapter 893. Whoosh! At the moment when the ground under Tsunade's feet shattered inch by inch, her whole body flew out, and the swift and violent fist wind immediately caused a sharp and harsh scream. Extraordinary strength fist. Hyojin's eyes suddenly shrank. Tsunade is a true first-generation bloodline, a humanoid monster. Her exaggerated physique coupled with the extraordinary strength fist, the power is almost comparable to a tailed beast's attack. Why? For a moment, this doubt filled Hyojin's mind. He really couldn't understand why Tsunade did this. Mute, who was next to Tsunade, was also stunned at this time, and her eyes were full of surprise and panic. She was also confused about Tsunade's sudden attack on Homusubi of Amatsukumi's organization at this time, and she even had the speculation that the scene in front of her was an illusion. Boom! In a flash, Tsunade's fist hit the opposite Homusubi, making a loud noise that made people's eardrums hurt. Accompanied by a deafening roar, the ground began to tremble. Smoke and dust rose in all directions, shrouding the entire forest. The corner of Hyojin's eyes twitched, and he looked over with a speechless face. Mute squeezed his hands together, staring at the smoke in front of him. Swish! At this time, Tsunade's figure retreated from the smoke and dust. And as the morning wind blew, the smoke and dust surging in the forest gradually dissipated, revealing the figure of Homusubi inside. Homusubi was still standing quietly in the same place, but the ground under his feet had cracked due to the impact of the huge force just now, and these cracks extended all the way out of the grove. And on the body of Homusubi, a circle of fiery red bone phantom wrapped around him. Mute blurted out, "Susanoo." There are not many means that can resist Tsunade's extraordinary strength fist, and the Susanoo of the Manjikyu Sharingan happens to be one of them. Coupled with the conspicuous appearance of the Susanoo, Mute immediately recognized it. Balrog looked at Tsunade and said in a calm tone, "Maybe you should give me an explanation." Mute quickly looked at Tsunade beside him. "Master, why?" Tsunade raised her hand and interrupted Mute's question. Smiling, she said, "What's there to explain? I should at least confirm if you're a real Balrog, right? It's not like anybody can just put on a cloak and a mask and call themselves Fiery Devil, right?" After saying that, Tsunade also gave Hyojin a look, indicating to Hyojin that the other party is a real Balrog, not someone in disguise. Hyojin didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but he can't show it, so he just nodded to Tsunade with a straight face. At this time, he realized that this is actually his own fault. Because last time when the ninja school held an actual combat exercise, he disguised himself as a member of Amatsukumi in front of Tsunade and Jiraiya, and scared away the Obsidian and Zetsu of Akatsuki, so Tsunade suddenly attacked and tested whether the other party is the real Homusubi of Amatsukumi. Tsunade carefully looked at the Susanoo on the body of Homusubi and nodded. "Now I can confirm your identity." Homusubi was silent for a while as if he sensed something, then he asked coldly with hidden killing intent, "What? Did someone impersonate us from Amatsukumi?" Ahem. After coughing twice, Tsunade moved away from Balrog's line of sight and explained, "It's nothing, I'm just taking precautions." Mute glanced at Hyojin with a guilty conscience. She knew that Hyojin once impersonated a member of Amatsukumi, but when she sneaked a peek at Hyojin, she found that Hyojin looked calm and composed. There was nothing strange on his face, as if the impersonation of Amatsukumi had nothing to do with him. Mute secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Phew, it's so inexplicably reassuring to become Miyagi after Naruto. Hyojin also secretly heaved a sigh of relief in his heart, and he thought to himself, "Did I reap what I sow?" Fortunately, Itachi came. If it was Jishue instead, then Hyojin didn't even dare to imagine what would have happened. With Homusubi's trust in Suijin and Tsunade's lack of defense, the surprise attack just now would have probably sent him flying. This is not a description, but a statement. Anyone who was unprepared and hit by Tsunade's extraordinary strength punch would end up in a tragic way. Moreover, Tsunade's sneak attack just now caught Suijin off guard, so no matter how strong Shisui is and how fast he is, he probably won't be able to avoid it. So even if Shisui is strong and fast, he probably won't be able to avoid it. This was because Shisui in his defensive state was on a completely different level from Shisui in his unguarded state. When unguarded, Danzo could easily take away one of Jishui's Manjikyu Sharingan, and there was no need for a fierce battle. And when defending, Danzo's carefully laid traps and pursuers couldn't catch Jishui, who only had one Sharingan left. Itachi, on the other hand, was different from ordinary Uchiha. He was always vigilant. After Homusubi looked at Tsunade for a while, he nodded as if he agreed with Tsunade's explanation and then said, "Prepare the commission, I will come back to you in 3 days." Whoosh! After saying that, Homusubi dispelled Susanoo and disappeared into the small forest. After a while, Hyojin turned his head and asked Tsunade, "How can we agree to Amatsukumi's unreasonable request just because of a small commission?" Tsunade's expression became a lot more serious at this time and said earnestly, "Kuroto, we don't have many choices." Mute also tried to persuade him. "Yeah, we can't afford to offend Amatsukumi now. Once we fall out with Amatsukumi, Akatsuki may take advantage of the situation." Hyojin was a little embarrassed. "But I'm Naruto," Tsunade explained. "The village's budget is 250 million, you should know this, right? After deducting the commission, we actually only paid 20 million more than the budget. This is acceptable." Mute added, "Yes, Amatsukumi offered 350 million, and we bargained down to 270 million. That's already quite good. Sandame-sama and the others won't blame you and Sensei." Sigh. Hyojin sighed. "I can't take that commission." Tsunade suddenly became anxious. "Don't be silly, you are the village's 5th-generation leader. What difference is there between the money in your hands and the village's hands? Don't feel any burden, this money is what you deserve." If Hyojin didn't take the commission, she naturally wouldn't get her part of the money. Mute also tried to persuade him. "Kuroto, this money was originally saved by you and Sensei for the village, it should be your reward." She was also anxious. The last time when the 5th-generation Naruto was elected, Tsunade still hadn't found the money she lost in the bet. Hyojin was a little hesitant. "Then what about the commission?" Tsunade waved her hand. "You must take it. I'm asking for recommendation votes, monthly votes to support." Chapter 894. Swoosh swoosh. Hyojin and Tsunade did not talk for long before the 2 Umbu ninjas landed in the forest. Due to the incident with the Uchiha clan and Wu's previous attack on the village, Mai was still on the highest alert level. The number of patrols in the village was twice as many as usual. Moreover, Tsunade's monstrous punch had caused quite a commotion, so it attracted the attention of the Umbu who were on duty nearby. Seeing that it was Hyojin, Tsunade, and the others in the forest, the 2 Umbu quickly bowed and said, "Naruto-sama, elder." Hyojin waved his hand and said, "Everything is fine here. You can leave now." "Yes." The Umbu bowed and accepted the order, then disappeared on the spot. After the 2 Umbu left, Tsunade said, "Let's go. Let's gather everyone and discuss the payment of Amatsukumi's commission." Hyojin nodded and walked toward the direction of the Naruto building with Tsunade and Mute. There was no doubt that this coincidental encounter in the forest was arranged by Hyojin. He used his authority as Naruto to inquire about Tsunade's schedule today, and then planned this coincidental encounter. The reason why he did this was because he knew that the village's budget to pay Amatsukumi's commission was only 250 million. Moreover, this commission was likely not going to be paid in one go. It seemed that 3 generations wanted to use this opportunity to strengthen their relationship with Amatsukumi and further spy on Amatsukumi's information. This was undoubtedly a problem for Hyojin. That was why he designed this trap and lured Tsunade into it. As a consulting elder, Tsunade helped him put pressure on the village so that the village would pay the commission as soon as possible and reduce the connection between Amatsukumi and the village to avoid exposing any loopholes. Choosing Tsunade was because Hyojin knew that Tsunade's desire for money was actually very weak. The reason she loved money and lacked money was because she was addicted to gambling and always lost, not because she was greedy for money. As long as she had a big stick and a sweet date, and it didn't harm Mai's core interests, she was the most flexible one among the elder consultants. The result was just as Hyojin expected. Under the stimulation of the commission, Tsunade quickly agreed. The original 250 million ryo commission became 300 million ryo, and Kuroda only needed to pay an additional 15 million ryo commission to Tsunade, and he got it within 3 days. Only Tsunade's last test against Homasubi was slightly beyond his expectations, but fortunately, Itachi was vigilant enough to not screw up. As for the last sentence that Tsunade said to Hyojin, the village doesn't have many choices. It was actually an effect that Hyojin deliberately created. The elder consultants felt that Mai couldn't leave Amatsukami, and Amatsukami couldn't leave Mai either. It can be said that it was the alliance between Amatsukami and the 5 great shinobi villages that suppressed Akatsuki, forcing them to choose to remain dormant. Once the alliance between Amatsukami and the 5 great shinobi villages is broken, and both sides turn against each other, Akatsuki will inevitably take advantage of this opportunity to stir up trouble in the shinobi world. And what Hyojin needs the most right now is the buffer time for him to break through the Kekii network, and a stable environment that can provide him with a large number of experimental materials, herbs, reagents, and personnel. In short, Hyojin needs a stable and prosperous shinobi world to support him in breaking through the Kekii network, and to achieve this, he can't do it without the 5 great shinobi villages that maintain the order of the shinobi world. However, Hyojin concealed all of this very well. Therefore, in the negotiations between Amatsukami and Amatsukami, the village has always been in a weak position. The elder consultants didn't realize that they actually have a trump card in the negotiation. It didn't take long for the elder consultants who received the news to rush to Naruto's office. There was no need for Hyojin to speak. Tsunade explained the process of bargaining with Amatsukami and Homasubi about the commission in detail. Of course, she skipped over the last part about the commission. If it's 300 million, it's not that I can't accept it, but time is a bit tight. 3 generations frowned. Although the commission of 300 million is a bit beyond the village's budget, it is still affordable. It's just that Amatsukami asking for it in such a hurry made him faintly feel that something is wrong, but what exactly is wrong, he can't tell. But Jiraiya asked, "Can you confirm the identity of the other party?" Obviously, Hyojin's previous act of pretending to be Amatsukami not only left a deep impression on Tsunade, but also on Jiraiya, which made him subconsciously doubt the identity of the other party. Tsunade immediately told them about her probing and emphasized, "I have confirmed that his Susanoo is red, and the villages Jishuei and Shinichi's Susanoo are green, and Fua's Sharingan has been taken away, so he should be the male Homasubi of Amatsukami. There is no mistake." Jiraiya nodded. Using the Susanoo to determine the identity of the other party was indeed the most accurate and simple method. Zhuan Shao-chun said worriedly, "The other party can enter and leave the village at will under the highest state of alert. This is too strange. What is the problem?" Hyojin, who provided cover for the other party, turned his head to the side. At this time, 3 generations said, "Since Kuroda and Tsunade have already agreed, then the commission will be paid according to the 300 million yuan that the other party said." This time, it is indeed thanks to Amatsukami that the village avoided a civil war. Compared with the losses caused by the civil war, 300 million yuan is nothing. Zhuan Shao-chun, Jiraiya, and Kakashi nodded one after another, agreeing with the decision of 3 generations. After the matter of the commission was settled, 3 generations asked Hyojin, "How is the matter with the Uchiha clan?" Hyojin said, "I have talked to Uchiha Fuwa. After losing his Sharingan, he has recognized the situation. Not only did he admit his mistake, but he is also willing to accept the village's punishment. But I think at this time we really don't need to pursue a useless person who has lost his Sharingan." 3 generations nodded and said, Well, what arrangements do you have for the Uchiha clan? Hyojin said, the position of the patriarch will be inherited by Itachi Uchiha, the eldest son of Uchiha Fuyue, and the position of captain of the police force will be replaced by Jishui. Without waiting for 3 generations to answer, Zhuan Xiaochun said with a smile, your arrangement is very good. Separating the position of the patriarch of the Uchiha clan from the position of captain of the police force can effectively reduce the prestige of the Uchiha clan. 3 generations smiled. It is indeed a good arrangement. Letting the moderate Shursui replace Fugaku as the captain of the Uchiha clan will undoubtedly lead to the formation of the patriarch faction and the captain faction within the Uchiha clan, which will further divide the Uchiha clan. Hyojin also smiled happily. I'm going to let Itachi continue to be the vice principal of the ninja school. The Uchiha police force was considered a negative asset in terms of reputation. If he wanted Itachi to successfully become the head of the 6th generation, there was no place better than the ninja school to increase his reputation. Here's the second update. Please support me with recommendation votes and monthly votes. Also, thank you to the students who gave me gifts yesterday. Thank you everyone. Chapter 895. After that, the village will definitely conduct one-on-one questioning of the important personnel of the Uchiha clan, but these are not things that Hyojin needs to worry about, because in the Uchiha clan, only Itachi, Jishui, and Shinichi know the secret of Hyojin. Even Uchiha and Fuyue only have some vague guesses, so as long as the village does not use genjutsu to interrogate them, they will not be able to get anything. And now that the village has finally dealt with the rebellion of the Uchiha clan, they will naturally not provoke Uchiha for no reason and make all the previous efforts go to waste. After talking about the Uchiha clan, the 3 generations talked to Hyojin alone about Orochimaru. Hearing that the 3 generations have the intention to accept Orochimaru again, Hyojin was a little surprised, but he still agreed. Well, if there is a chance, I will try. The 3 generations sighed faintly. I hope he can mend his ways. Hyojin responded, I hope so. In his opinion, the probability of Orochimaru returning to the village is not high, because Orochimaru has long since transcended the concept of a shinobi village. What he pursues is the limit of ninjutsu and the secret of eternal life. On this point, Hyojin and Orochimaru, the master and disciple, have the same idea. Returning to the village as a renegade ninja cannot help Orochimaru realize these ideals, but it will restrict him. It is far better to stay in the Sound Village and do whatever he wants. Not only there is a small village for him to command, but he can also get financial assistance from the daimyo of Tanoland. Time passed, and 2 days later, Hyojin got the 285 million yen commission paid by the village as he wished. After getting this huge sum of money, he did not stay idle. He immediately purchased various building materials from all over the shinobi world and began the repair project of the Sky Fortress. As the base camp of Hyojin, the Sky Fortress is his top priority. Not only are there the water clone, fire clone, wind clone, and earth clone that he spent nearly a decade of painstaking effort to develop, but these are also the hiding places of Xiang Lin and Ailuo, all of which can help him break through the Kekkei Genkai net technique. Not only that, it is also the hiding place of Xiang Lin and Ailuo. There is a pair of Rinnegan in Xiang Lin's eye sockets, and there is a one-tailed beast living in Gaara's body. Therefore, this Sky Fortress is equivalent to preserving a pair of incomparably precious Rinnegan, as well as a one-tailed beast that can restrict the Akatsuki from resurrecting the Jubi. Now that there is a giant Tenseigan here, if something goes wrong, then all of Hyojin's efforts will be in vain. The reason why Hyojin didn't repair the Sky Fortress before was because he didn't have enough money, but now that he has received the 285 million yen commission from the village, he naturally can't allow this flaw to continue to exist. And this time, Hyojin not only wants to repair the damaged parts of the Sky Fortress, but he also wants to conduct a thorough evaluation of the Sky Fortress and upgrade it to a fortress that is truly difficult to conquer. Hyojin, who has opened the Tenseigan, strolled in the Sky Fortress, carefully observing and recording. This Sky Fortress originally belonged to the Shinobi Village, but after the Shinobi Village was destroyed by Mai a few decades ago, this Sky Fortress has been in a state of abandonment. Because of years of disrepair, not only many cabins in the Sky Fortress are no longer usable, but even the main structure has various hidden dangers. Ordinary people may not be able to find these hidden dangers, but with Hyojin's Tenseigan, these small structural damage and material aging are all exposed. After walking around the Sky Fortress, Sui-jin thought with a calm face, if it's just some minor repairs, then there's no problem with the normal operation, but the defense can't be improved. If it's discovered by a strong person, then I'm afraid it won't even be able to last until I arrive to support it. Hyojin can't stay in the Sky Fortress all the time, so the Sky Fortress must have a certain defense ability. At least it must be able to hold on until he comes back to support. And with the current state of the Sky Fortress, whether it is discovered by the Akatsuki organization or Otsutsuki samurai, it will be immediately breached and won't last for more than a few minutes. I can't do anything small, I need a major repair, I need a comprehensive upgrade. After a little consideration, Hyojin made up his mind. Because he really can't afford to lose this Sky Fortress. If the Akatsuki organization attacks here, then Aru will inevitably suffer, and after getting one tail, the Akatsuki organization will basically have no obstacle to resurrect the Jubi. And if Otsutsuki samurai attacks here, then Otsutsuki samurai can control this giant Tenseigan of the Hyuga clan, and at that time, the life of the entire Hyuga clan will be in the palm of Otsutsuki samurai. After making up his mind, Hyojin came to the core power room of the Sky Fortress. At present, the core energy of the Sky Fortress is the Morio's Jinchuriki Shino sealed by the 4 symbols seal array. Because Morio and the Witch of the Land of Demons have a relationship of mutual restraint, as long as the Witch of the Land of Demons, that is, Little Zun, is still alive, the Morio will be immortal and can constantly recover its own chakra like the tailed beast, so the Sky Fortress actually doesn't have a problem with energy. It's just that the 4 symbol seal array is a bit unsafe, because Morio's chakra is extremely corrosive, and after a long time, many seals in the array will gradually fail. In recent years, Hyojin actually came to the power room to repair the failed seals every 3 to 5 days, which is why the seal on Shino has been maintained. The power room is the core of the Sky Fortress. I must find a more stable seal. Hyojin quickly thought of Xianglin. As a member of the Whirlpool clan, Xianglin herself has a very high level of attainment in sealing technique, plus she now has the Rinnegan, so her sealing technique is still worth looking forward to. After completing a comprehensive evaluation of the Sky Fortress, Hyojin immediately began the transformation and upgrade plan. In his plan, the Sky Fortress will have 2 sets of energy systems. One is the Morio's Jinchuriki Shino in the power room. He will be the source of energy for the daily operation of the Sky Fortress, and also the core of the overall defense of the Sky Fortress. The other set of energy system is the Giant Tenseigan, but the Giant Tenseigan will only be used as a backup energy source in case of accidents, and under normal circumstances, it will not be easily activated. And with the energy system, there is a defensive barrier. Hyojin is going to build 2 sets of defensive barriers in the Sky Fortress. One is the current defensive barrier. It can prevent the environment from eroding the Sky Fortress, and it can also defend against some low-intensity attack. But in the case of an attack like the last time Hyojin tried to test the dust release, this set of defensive barrier will have no effect. As for the second set of defensive barrier, Hyojin is going to build the 4 Red Yang formation in the Sky Fortress. I'm asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes to support. It's just a small effort, please everyone. Chapter 896. The power of the 4 red sun formation was beyond doubt. If it was just a simple chakra attack, even if the energy level reached the level of Ten-Tails, it would still be difficult to break the defense of the 4 red sun formation in a short period of time. In the original space and time, the 4 Naruto with the impure earth form had used this formation to trap Ten-Tails. The trapped Ten-Tails launched a Bijou that was in the form of chakra to the extreme, but it still failed to break the defense of the 4 red yang formation. Instead, it was covered in dust by its own Bijou. From this, it could be seen that as long as it wasn't a spacetime ninjutsu like Kamui that could directly distort space, or a special attack like Truth-Seeking Ball, it wouldn't be able to do anything to the 4 red sun formation. It was really the strongest defense formation that could be used under the 6th path. Because the defense of the 4 red sun formation was dozens of times stronger than the common 4 purple flame formation, the conditions to activate the 4 red sun formation were much harsher than the 4 purple flame formation. The 4 purple flame formation only needed 4 middle-level ninjas to activate it, but the rumor said that the 4 red sun formation needed 4 Naruto-level ninjas to activate it. Of course, this was just a slightly exaggerated statement. If they are proficient enough in sealing techniques, then 4 elite Jonin-level ninjas can actually activate the 4 red yang formation. However, the stronger the caster, the stronger the 4 red yang formation. If the 4 Hokage join forces, then trapping Ten-Tails, for a short period of time would not be a problem. Kuroto doesn't need the kind of exaggerated 4 red yang formation that can trap Jubi. He can't create that kind of 4 red yang formation by himself. What he needs is the standard type that can block the bombardment of ordinary Kage-level ninjutsu, as well as the attacks of ordinary bijutsu. Here, and here, after marking 4 symmetrical points on the drawing, Hyojin had a bold idea in his mind. Sealing techniques or some special substances could activate the barrier in place of the caster. The Samsara obsidian in the original space and time had once used the black stick of the Eye of Samsara as a medium to cast the 6 red sun formation, which was more powerful and had a larger range than the 4 red sun formation. This was an example that Hyojin could emulate. That was because he also had a pair of Eyes of Reincarnation in his hand. The black stick made from the Eyes of Reincarnation was a special material that was difficult for others to obtain, but it wasn't an obstacle for him. After making the early preparations, Sui-Jin began the transformation and upgrade of the Sky Fortress. The location of the upgrade was a lonely island in the middle of the sea. This island was far away from the archipelago of the Country of Water, and it wasn't covered by any shipping routes. It was also surrounded by turbulent whirlpools. It was truly an uninhabited island that no one had ever set foot on. Ding ding clang clang. When the Sky Fortress landed on the deserted island, soon, the transformation began in full swing. Because of the support of the giant Tenseigan, Hyojin activated a total of 200 humanoid puppets. Counting the previous 3 generations of Kazekage puppets, there were a total of 201 puppets with a certain degree of autonomy. Among these puppets, except for the 3 generations of Kazekage puppets, the others basically didn't have much fighting power, but as ordinary construction workers, it was enough. In addition, Gaara, who could control sand, and Xiang Lin, who had the Rinnegan, also actively participated in the transformation of the Sky Fortress. So although there were only a few people in the Sky Fortress, Hyojin, Gaara, and Xiang Lin, the entire construction site was very lively, and the sound of construction was endless. Hyojin himself didn't stay idle. He divided 10 shadow clones at a time and personally participated in the construction. While his main body kept taking out various sealing scrolls from the storage bag around his waist, and then from these dozens of sealing scrolls, he unsealed a variety of building materials that were piled up like a mountain. These building materials were purchased by Hyojin in different countries in the shinobi world with different identities. Although it was a bit troublesome, it didn't attract anyone's attention. It's just that the cost of this trip was quite huge. He spent more than 150 million Rio at one time, which is equivalent to more than half of the commission he just received. The principle of Hyugin's transformation this time is to strengthen the core area and then eliminate all the unnecessary areas. It must be known that in this sky fortress, there are a large number of personnel cabins and corresponding living areas. According to Hyugin's estimation, the personnel cabins in the Sky Fortress can accommodate at least 300 ninjas to live comfortably. If squeezed, even 1,000 ninjas can be accommodated. These are obviously not what Hyugen needs. His Sky Fortress doesn't need a large number of occupants to maintain combat effectiveness, so he only needs to maintain a living area with about 50 occupants for emergencies. In addition, the strange statues outside the Sky Fortress, Hyugen has long wanted to remove them. This time, he can remove them all at once. As for the towers and some towering watchtowers outside the Sky Fortress, they can all be removed. These are all facilities used in conventional warfare, and they are all aimed at ordinary enemies. They basically have no effect on Hyugen, because ordinary ninjas can't threaten the Sky Fortress, and in the face of strong enemies that can threaten the Sky Fortress, these facilities won't play any role. On the contrary, because of their existence, the Sky Fortress not only looks extremely bloated, but also has a very irregular shape, which is not convenient for maneuver, nor is it convenient to set up a defensive enchantment. The parts that need to be preserved are the core power room of the Sky Fortress, Hyugen's experimental area, and the weapons room that controls the Sky Fortress's chakra cannon. Although these areas will be preserved, they will also undergo a comprehensive transformation and upgrade. After the transformation, the Sky Fortress will have a dual power room, that is, the regular power room that uses Morio as the energy source, and the backup power room that uses the giant Tenseigan as the energy source. This can ensure that the Sky Fortress has sufficient energy, and in the event of an accident, it has a very high risk resistance ability. The power room itself is a sealed area. Placing the giant Tenseigan in the power room can also effectively prevent the giant Tenseigan of the Hyuga clan from resonating with the giant Tenseigan of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon and revealing the traces of the giant Tenseigan. The resonance between the Tenseigan is sometimes very accidental. Hyugen has used the resonance between the Tenseigan several times to indirectly obtain the support of the giant Tenseigan on the moon, and he almost exposed his whereabouts several times, and was almost detected by the Otsutsuki clan. The second update is here, asking for recommendation votes, monthly vote. In addition, thank you to the classmate who tipped yesterday, thank you. Chapter 897. Xiang Lin looked at the rings on the ground that were covered with sealing techniques and asked seriously, "My lord, is it here?" Hyugen nodded, "Yes, it's here." After getting Hyugen's confirmation, Xiang Lin immediately gathered chakra, then raised her hand, and a black stick about the same thickness as the ring on the ground stretched out from her small palm. This was the black stick made by the Rinnegan. From the point of view of chakra, the black stick of the Rinnegan was actually the manifestation of the universal power of yin and yang. It was the product of the yin and yang escape. It could not only transmit chakra, sense chakra, and control chakra, but in some cases it could even replace the caster. At this moment, Hyugen was using this feature. After embedding the black stick made by Xiang Lin with the yin and yang escape into the ring on the ground, Hyugen made a seal with his hands and said in a low voice, "Seal." Hiss, in an instant, in a burst of white steam, the seal on the ring shone with a bright light. The base of the ring inlaid with the black stick is a seal created by Kurodo by combining the seal of the Miko lineage of the Land of Demons with the seal of the Uzumaki clan. In terms of sealing, the seal of the witch was better than the seal of the Uzumaki clan, and in terms of the seal of the Chakra clan, the seal of the Uzumaki clan was better. Therefore, if he wanted to set up a defensive barrier on the Sky Fortress, he must combine the seal of the two clans. The seal of the witch was responsible for activating the black stick and automatically opening or closing the formation of the 4 red sun with the help of the black stick, while the seal of the Uzumaki clan was responsible for transmitting the chakra of the Morio in the power room to the black stick, ensuring the supply of chakra. After activating the seal on the ring, Hyojin asked Xiang Lin next to him, "How is the black stick connected to the chakra in the power room?" Xiang Lin quickly sensed it, and immediately said with joy, "Well, it's connected. Let's go to the next place." Hyojin did not delay and immediately headed to the next sealing point. Xiang Li quickly followed after him. Not long after, Hyojin and Xiang Lin completed the activation of the 4 seal points. After confirming that the black rods on the 4 sealing points were successfully connected to the main power room, Hyojin immediately led Xiang Lin and Gaara out of the Sky Fortress and arrived at the deserted island outside. Open. After retreating far away, Hyojin took the initiative to activate the 4 Crimson Sun formation on the floating fortress. In an instant, 4 crimson barriers suddenly appeared at the edges of the Sky Fortress and instantly enveloped it. Even the top and bottom of the Sky Fortress were no exception. Xiang Lin exclaimed, "Wow, is this the 4 Scarlet Yang formation? It's really spectacular." Gaara also stared at the activated 4 Scarlet Yang formation and clicked his tongue in amazement. Xiang Lin, who had the Rinnegan, and Gaara, who had the Jinchuriki, were not ordinary ninjas. Therefore, they were very sensitive to chakra and could intuitively judge the strength of chakra. However, the activated 4 Crimson Sun formation in front of them shocked them greatly. This was because it was the first time they had seen a defensive barrier of such strength. Of course, this is the 4 Scarlet Yang formation that can even resist tailed beasts. Hyojin, who had already activated the Tenseigan, also raised the corner of his mouth at this time. This was the benefit of being a Hokage. If one didn't have enough authority in the village, they wouldn't be able to get their hands on a defensive barrier like the 4 Crimson Sun formation. No matter how many merits they accumulated, they wouldn't be able to get their hands on it. And after becoming Naruto, even if Hyojin did not want to learn it, the advisory elder group would force him to learn it. Because the 4 Scarlet Yang formation was also one of the sealing techniques that Naruto must learn. In the original space and time, before the 4 impure earth form Naruto activated the 4 Scarlet Yang formation, they did not ask each other if they had mastered this technique. Because those who could become Naruto had to learn it even if they did not know it. And this time, Suijin was very satisfied with the test activation. The speed of the enchantment was very fast, and the chakra distribution on the enchantment wall was also very uniform. At least his Tenseigan didn't find any obvious flaws. Hey, the Black Rod's ability to control chakra seems to be stronger than the average elite Jonin. No wonder Nagato always likes to play with his 6 paths of pain. There is no doubt that the effect of the Black Rod's control of chakra exceeded Hyojin's previous expectations. Using the Black Rod to control chakra was originally just a helpless choice, but now he has to say that it's really good. Xiang Lin turned to Kuroto and asked, "Sama, did we succeed?" "Success?" With a chuckle, Hyojin said, "It's still too early to say that it was a success. Things like barriers can only be determined after a test." Gaara was a little puzzled. "Test? How do we test it?" The corner of Kuroto's mouth twitched. He didn't say anything and directly summoned the dragon's vein from the gourd around his waist. Then, he instructed the dragon's vein, "Release the jade tail beast towards the barrier." The dragon vein nodded obediently, and immediately gathered chakra. Looking at the huge illusory dragon and the chakra tail beast jade that was gathering in the dragon's mouth, Xiang Lin and Gaara were extremely shocked. Then they looked at the 4 Crimson Sun formation that enveloped the Sky Fortress in the distance with expectant faces. This kind of testing method was too interesting for the two of them. Whoosh! After a few breaths, A dazzling tail beast jade shot towards the 4 crimson sun formation with a whistling sound. Rumble, in an instant, a huge explosion exploded on the deserted island. The smoke caused by the explosion immediately filled the air, completely obscuring their vision. At the same time, the ground of the deserted island also shook violently, and cracks even appeared in some areas, extending tens of meters away. As the sea breeze blew, the smoke caused by the explosion was quickly dispersed, and the fiery red 4 crimson sun formation once again appeared in their vision. Xiang Lin exclaimed, "Yay, this is great!" Gara also echoed, "It's a success!" Hyojin didn't celebrate too early. He first used his Tenseigan to carefully observe the 4 crimson sun formation. After confirming that the 4 crimson sun formation was operating normally, he carefully observed the sky fortress within the 4 crimson sun formation. His gaze swept through the external structure of the sky fortress, and unsurprisingly, Hyojin found a few places that were damaged by the impact of the attack just now. After recording all these weak points, Hyojin ordered the dragon vein beside him. "Don't stop, continue to attack. I'm asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes." Chapter 898. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Amidst the continuous explosions, the jade tail beast's piercing screeches were exceptionally ear-piercing. The continuous explosions not only stirred up smoke and dust, but even the shaking of the earth became more and more intense. The cracks on the ground continued to spread, almost covering the entire island. Xiang Lin and Ailuo, who were standing beside Hyojin, stared dumbfoundedly at the 4 red sun formation that was constantly being bombarded by the dragon vein. They staggered under the tremors. Not far away, the puppets in the puppet construction team who were on standby fell to the ground at this moment. In the smoke and dust, Hyojin's eyes were solemn. The smoke and dust in front of him might be a hindrance to ordinary people, but for him, who had the Tenseigan, it was not an obstacle at all. Therefore, the 4 red sun formation that was constantly being bombarded by the dragon vein had always been under Hyojin's strict supervision. Once there was a problem, he could stop it at any time. The power of the jade tail beast of the dragon vein was actually not too exaggerated. Although the dragon vein chakra contained a large amount of natural energy, it was not the perfect combination of the 2 immortal arts chakra. It was just a mixture of the dragon vein chakra and natural energy. It was a preliminary form that had yet to be developed. Therefore, the jade tail beast released by the dragon vein was the same as the jade tail beast released by other tailed beasts. There was only a change in form, but no change in nature. But even so, the power of the dragon vein jade tail beast was not to be underestimated. Among the tailed beasts, only the 8 tails and 9 tails jade tail beast could suppress it. The power of the other tailed beasts might not be stronger than the dragon vein. And under the continuous attacks of the jade tail beast of this level, the 4 red sun formation on the sky fortress could still barely hold on. This protection effect was already very good. Just as Hyojin was concentrating on testing the limits of the 4 red sun formation, Xiang Lin hurriedly shouted, "My lord, please stop." Hyojin asked casually, "What's wrong?" Xiang Lin explained, "If this continues, I'm afraid this deserted island will shatter." Hyojin was stunned for a moment, then he frowned and ordered the dragon vein beside him, "Stop." Dragon Mai responded with the tender voice of a 2 or 3-year-old child, and then stopped the bombardment of the jade tail beast. After looking around, Hyojin noticed that the island he was on was almost shattered by the intense battle between the jade-tailed beast and the 4 red sun formation. Seems like I've gone a little overboard. Hyojin smiled awkwardly. In terms of insight, Xiang Lin wasn't as good as Hyojin, even with the Eye of Samsara. But in terms of perception, Hyojin wasn't as good as Xiang Lin. In addition, Hyojin's attention was completely focused on the 4 red sun formation, so he neglected the state of the island and almost caused an accident. Soon, Hyojin's attention returned to the 4 red sun formation in the distance. After the continuous bombardment of the jade-tailed beast, the boundary of the 4 red sun formation was obviously uneven, and the waves of chakra were also very chaotic. But the boundary was still there, and as the attacks stopped, the abnormality on the boundary seemed to be gradually disappearing. Then, Hyojin's gaze passed through the 4 red sun formation and landed on the sky fortress that was surrounded by the formation. The violent tremors just now not only almost shattered the deserted island under Hyojin's feet, but also caused great damage to the sky fortress that was protected by the 4 red sun formation. The outside of the sky fortress was almost full of cracks, and some parts were seriously damaged, while some parts had even fallen off. In this regard, Hyojin wasn't surprised, nor was he dissatisfied. In fact, the defensive capability of the Sky Fortress is already very good, almost reaching the highest level in the shinobi world. In order to achieve this, Hyojin used the Morio, which is comparable to the tailed beast, the black stick made by the Rinnegan, and the sealing techniques of the Miko branch of the Land of Demons and the Uzumaki clan. No matter which one of these techniques is taken out, they are the top techniques in the shinobi world. Even the 5 great shinobi villages may not be able to come up with such technique. Because of this, it is very difficult to improve the defensive capability of the Sky Fortress, and the ratio of investment to output is very low. If you get what you pay for now, then you get what you pay for if you invest more, then you get what you pay for if you invest more. It is not worth it, and it is not necessary. After all, there is no defense that cannot be broken. Even if Hyojin uses the truth-seeking ball as a defensive barrier, there is still a method in the shinobi world that can break it. After removing the 4 red yang formation and recording the weak areas of the outer wall of the Sky Fortress one by one, Hyojin immediately ordered the puppet construction team, "Let's begin." Following Hyojin's order, the puppets that were shaken to the ground immediately regrouped and continued to upgrade the Sky Fortress. After the most important defensive barrier test is completed, the only thing left is simple construction. In Hyojin's plan, the Sky Fortress after the upgrade will be 1/3 smaller than the original one, maybe even more. In addition to the fact that Hyojin removed many useless areas in the Sky Fortress, it is also because the building materials he chose this time are more high-end, more durable, and there is no need to build the Sky Fortress in order to strengthen the main structure of the Sky Fortress. When the puppet construction team was busy rebuilding the Sky Fortress, Hyojin, who was walking inside the Sky Fortress, unknowingly walked to the auxiliary power room. Dong dong! Dong dong! As soon as Kuroto stepped into the auxiliary power room, the pair of Tenseigan in his eye sockets naturally resonated with the giant Tenseigan placed in the auxiliary power room in a throbbing heartbeat. So Kuroto walked over and gently pressed his palm on the giant Tenseigan. Perhaps because Kuroto is the highest authority of this giant Tenseigan, coupled with his own Tenseigan, this giant Tenseigan is very close to him, almost without reservation, so Kuroto knows the true state of this giant Tenseigan better than Hyojin Aoki before. After hundreds of years of being sealed, this giant Tenseigan belonging to the Hyuga clan is undoubtedly in a weak period. What Hyojin Aoki did before is only adding insult to injury. Even without Hyojin Aoki's previous extravagance, this giant Tenseigan is still in a weak state. There are actually many ways to restore the giant Tenseigan, 2 of which are the simplest. The first is to integrate the Byakugan into the giant Tenseigan, like the Otsutsuki clan on the moon. This will not only restore the giant Tenseigan, but it will also make the giant Tenseigan stronger, which is the best way to treat both the symptoms and the root cause. Secondly, through the cage bird, he can absorb all the chakra of the Hyuga clansmen who have recorded the cage bird, and use these Byakugan chakra to restore the giant Tenseigan. The second update is here, asking for recommendation votes, monthly vote. In addition, thank you to the students who tipped yesterday. Thank you everyone. Chapter 899. Integrating the Byakugan into the giant Tenseigan is undoubtedly the most effective and simplest way to restore the giant Tenseigan. Kuroto does have a pair of Byakugan in his hand, but it is only a pair of Byakugan seized from Hyuga Aoki. If there were 10 or 20 pairs, it might have a good effect if integrated into the giant Tenseigan. But if there is only one pair, it is purely a drop in the bucket. For Hyojin, rather than wasting a pair of Byakugan meaninglessly, it is better to keep them for experiment. After all, the Byakugan that is not bound by the cage bird is more precious than the Sharingan in the current shinobi world. As for the second method, that is, the method to absorb the Byakugan chakra of the Hyuga clan through the cage bird, Hyojin is still a little hesitant. This is not because Hyojin is soft-hearted, but because he is not proficient enough in controlling the giant Tenseigan. He is worried that once this absorption state is activated, the giant Tenseigan will desperately absorb the Byakugan chakra of the Hyuga clan to replenish itself. Currently, there are only a few hundred members of the Hyuga clan with the cage bird engraved on their forehead, and more than half of them are old, weak women and children. Their own chakra's amount is not sufficient. If something happens, all the members of the Hyuga clan may die in an instant. One must know that the giant Tenseigan is both a supreme treasure and a deep curse. The last member of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon is the best example, so Hyojin must be extra cautious on this issue. He doesn't want to cause the death of his fiancée and disciples due to a moment of carelessness. In addition to these two simplest methods, there is another way to restore the giant Tenseigan, and that is to directly transfer chakra to the giant Tenseigan. Hyojin's own Tenseigan chakra needs to be stored in the In seal in preparation for the Kekii net attack. Obviously, he can't use it on the giant Tenseigan, so recently, he has been transferring Dragon Vein chakra to the giant Tenseigan. Although compared with Byakugan chakra and Tenseigan chakra of the same origin, the giant Tenseigan's absorption efficiency of Ryumyaku chakra is not high, but the advantage is that Ryumyaku chakra is almost inexhaustible, so with a fixed amount of Ryumyaku chakra being replenished every day, the giant Tenseigan has obviously recovered a lot more than before, and it seems to be closer to Hyojin. After transferring a certain amount of Ryumyaku chakra into the giant Tenseigan again, Hyojin sensed the situation of the giant Tenseigan. If there are no twists and turns, this giant Tenseigan should be able to get out of its weakened state within 2 or 3 months. As long as the giant Tenseigan gets out of its weakened state, Hyojin can make many bold attempts. For example, the giant Tenseigan can absorb the Byakugan chakra of all the members of the Hyuga branch through the caged bird, which Hyojin can use. As long as Hyojin finds a safe way to absorb it, the hundreds of members of the Hyuga branch will all become his backup batteries. 1 or 2 people may not be a big deal, but if hundreds of people are gathered, the power will be greatly different. This is the case with the chakra transmission array prepared by Danzo at the Kekii fusion ceremony last time. It was with the chakra transmission of more than 1,000 my ninjas that Danzo's Kekii fusion ceremony was barely successful. If it weren't for Hyojin's interference, Danzo could have harvested a new pair of Rinnegan on the spot. And the chakra transmission array prepared by Danzo is actually very inefficient in terms of chakra transmission efficiency. First of all, the more than 1,000 my ninjas on the array have different attributes of chakra, and when these different chakra are gathered together, it will cause huge internal friction. Second, the array lacks an efficient relay device, which will cause a lot of loss in the transmission process. Hyojin's side is different. All the members of the Hyuga branch have the same Byakugan chakra, and when gathered together, there is no such thing as internal friction. And the caged bird is perfectly connected to each member of the Hyuga branch, and the giant Tenseigan is an impeccable relay device, so the entire transmission process of Byakugan chakra is amazingly efficient. Although it has not been tested yet, Hyojin is sure that the chakra amount that hundreds of members of the Hyuga branch can provide is definitely far more than 1,000 people in Danzo's chakra transmission array. At the thought of this, Hyojin's mouth twitched. If I can promote the Een seal in the clan, the effect will be TSK. Although Hyojin's own chakra amount every day is already quite a lot, it is only his own strength. If all the members of the branch practice the Een seal and insist on storing chakra every day, it is equivalent to hundreds of people storing chakra for Hyojin together. Of course, the actual situation will not be so ideal. Even with Mute's talent, he can't master the Een seal, and the members of the branch have different qualifications, so obviously not everyone can learn the Een seal, but as long as some of them learn it and persist day after day, it will be a great support for Hyojin. My village ninja school. Glancing at the students in the classroom, Irika announced loudly, "Well, today's class is over, everyone can go home and rest." As Irika announced the dismissal of the classroom immediately became noisy, and the students began to leave the classroom in twos and threes. Itachi, as the vice principal of the ninja school, suddenly came to the classroom. Sasuke quickly greeted him and asked with a face full of expectation, "Brother, are you here to accompany me to practice?" Itachi shook his head. "Jiraiya-sama has already arranged a practice course for you." Sasuke was a little disappointed and pouted. Itachi's eyes fell on Ningxi in the classroom and said, "Ningxi, come with me." Ningxi was startled. "Principal, what can I do for you?" Itachi said, "I will be responsible for teaching you ninjutsu, taijutsu, and ninja tool throwing." "What?" Sasuke and Ningxi exclaimed at the same time. Itachi smiled. "This is the arrangement of Naruto-sama, come with me." As soon as he heard that it was Hyojin's arrangement, Ningxi did not dare to question it and quickly followed Itachi. Looking at Ningxi, who left with Itachi, Sasuke pouted and said, "Brother is so biased." Naruto stepped forward and put his hand on Sasuke's shoulder. "Sasuke, let's practice together." Just as Sasuke was about to agree, Kakashi lazily appeared at the door of the classroom. "Sasuke, come with me, from today on, you will receive my special training. I'm asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes." Chapter 900. Sasuke and Naruto were stunned when they saw Kakashi appear at the door of the classroom with half of his sleeve decorated with Naruto's robe pattern. Unlike the ignorant Naruto, Sasuke was clear about Kakashi's identity as acting Naruto, so he quickly stepped forward and bowed respectfully, then asked in a low voice, "Where is Jiraiya-sensei?" Kakashi, with drooping eyes, said casually, "Only by passing my special training, you are qualified to receive the guidance of Lord Jiraiya-sensei. Let's go, don't waste time." Sasuke asked, "Sensei Kakashi, what kind of special training is it?" Kakashi said lazily as he walked out, "Follow me and you will know. But let me say this first, my special training is not something that just anyone can pass. Even if you are a genius of the Uchiha clan, if you don't suffer, don't even think about passing." Sasuke said confidently, "Please rest assured, I will definitely pass." Sasuke, who was bent on revenge and taking back the Manjikyu Sharingan for his father, was not afraid of any special training at the moment, or in other words, what he needed was even more rigorous special training. Kakashi, who was walking out, did not look back, but just chuckled. "Naruto, I'm sorry for today, I will accompany you to practice next time." After saying goodbye to Naruto, Sasuke quickly followed Kakashi. Naruto held the back of his head with his hands and shouted to Sasuke, who was quickly chasing after Kakashi, "It's okay, Sasuke, you have to work hard." After Sasuke's figure completely disappeared in the corridor, a trace of loneliness emerged on Naruto's face. Ningxi and Sasuke had someone to guide them, but he didn't. This made him feel bad, but he quickly regained his optimism. He said to Xiaoli, who was seriously bandaging herself, Xiaoli, let's practice together today, shall we? Before Xiaoli could answer, Guy appeared at the door of the classroom and shouted, Xiaoli, are you done yet? Youth cannot be delayed. Xiaoli quickly tied the bandages on her arms. Kai-sensei, I'm ready. Kai flashed his snow-white front teeth and laughed. Then let's go, today we will run 20 laps around the village. Yes. Xiaoli replied loudly, then said to Naruto, Sorry, Naruto, I'm going to practice with the teacher. Naruto waved his hand casually. Oh, it's okay, go ahead. Soon, the passionate Guy and Xiaoli ran out of the classroom. At this time, Shikamaru walked past Naruto. When he saw Naruto looking at him, he quickly said with a sad face, Don't look for me, my dad is waiting at home for special training. Ding Ci and Ya, who were behind Shikamaru, also nodded with a sad face. Obviously, like Shikamaru, they also had special training from their families waiting for them. What's going on recently? My dad and mom are like crazy, training every day. I haven't had a good sleep for a long time. Yeah, I'm a little afraid of going home now. I've had enough of this kind of life. Looking at Shikamaru, Ding Ci, and Ya complaining to each other and leaving the classroom, the loneliness on Naruto's face increased a little. He is different from Shikamaru. He sincerely hopes that someone will care about him and supervise him. Unfortunately, as far as he can remember, there has never been such a person. Sitting back in his seat, Naruto looked around the classroom and found that only a few girls, including Sakura, Ino, Zuen, and Yakumo, were left in the classroom, and the others have left one after another. At this time, footsteps sounded in the corridor outside the classroom, and not long after, Yui and Kurenai appeared at the door of the classroom. Yui waved towards the classroom and said, Zuen, Sakura, Ino, let's go. Today, Tsunade-sama is also in the hospital, maybe you can get some guidance from her. Yes. The three people who were called hurriedly responded. On the side, Kurenai smiled at Yakumo in the classroom and said, Yakumo! Yakumo nodded calmly. In the blink of an eye, only Naruto was left in the classroom. Sitting in the empty classroom, Naruto sighed with a depressed expression and then said carelessly, I can practice alone, I don't need the guidance of the adults at all, humph. With that, Naruto held the back of his head with his hands, hummed a tune, and swaggered out of the classroom. As soon as he stepped out of the classroom, Naruto bumped into someone and fell to the ground. Looking up, he saw Naruto's Hakusho, so he quickly looked up and found that the person he bumped into was none other than Fifth-sama Naruto. Rubbing his butt, Naruto got up and complained, Naruto-sama, why did you suddenly appear here? You scared me. Hyojin asked, Where are you going? Naruto immediately recovered his indifferent expression and said, Where else can I go? Of course I'm going to practice. I don't want to be caught by Sasuke and Ningtse. Hyojin smiled. In the last few assessments your ranking was quite low, right? If he could smoothly enter the Sage mode, then Naruto naturally wouldn't be afraid of Sasuke and Ningtse, but the assessment of the shinobi school wouldn't give Naruto any time to prepare, so in the last few assessments, Naruto lost to Sasuke and Ningtse. Naruto blushed. That was just an accident. Hyojin didn't continue to tease Naruto, said, Let's go, I'm going to teach you a unique skill today. Naruto looked at Hyojin with a look of disbelief. Really? Hyojin stopped talking nonsense and walked straight outside. Naruto hurriedly followed. I remember what you just said. You are Naruto, you must do what you said, don't lie to me. Leading Naruto to an empty training field, Hyojin walked to a wooden pile, raised his hand, and a glowing ball of chakra appeared in his palm. Staring at the chakra ball in Hyojin's palm, Naruto asked curiously, Naruto-sama, is this the unique skill you want to teach me? Hyojin nodded. Yes, this skill is called Rasengan, developed by 4 generations of Naruto. It is a kind of ninjutsu that can be used at any time and anywhere without hand seals. After that, Hyojin hit the wooden pile on the side with the Rasengan in his hand. Bang! With a loud bang, the wooden pile as thick as a waist was instantly smashed, and the sawdust was scattered all over the sky. Naruto's eyes lit up when he saw this. That's amazing. Hyojin asked with a smile, "Do you want to learn?" Here's the second update, asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes to support. In addition, thank you to the students who tipped yesterday. Thank you everyone. Chapter 901. Naruto's eyes sparkled. I want to learn, of course I want to learn. Rasengan is not so easy to learn. The corner of Kuroto's mouth rose into a smile. Speaking of Rasengan, he actually just learned it not long ago, and he specifically asked Jiraiya to learn it. Although he knows that Rasengan was developed by 4 generations inspired by the tailed beast Jade, and he vaguely remembers some techniques of practicing Rasengan, but he can't remember the detailed practice method. And the reason why he specifically asked Jiraiya for advice on Rasengan is to personally teach it to Naruto. If which ninjutsu is the most suitable for Naruto, then Rasengan and multiple Kage Jutsu are probably tied for first place. There is no doubt about this, because in the original time and space, it has been verified countless times. Naruto has the strong physique of the Uzumaki clan, and the identity of the Nine Tails' Jinchuriki. These 2 ninjutsu that require extremely high chakra's amount of strength are used to the extreme. As if these 2 ninjutsu were tailor-made for him. Originally, Hyojin didn't care much about the development of Naruto, but he didn't think that the last time he sent Ningxi and Hinata to Mount Myaboku, not only did he fail, but he also let Sasuke become the contractor of Mount Myaboku, and he was also accepted as a disciple by Jiraiya, who hoped to ease the relationship with the Uchiha clan at that time. As a result, Naruto has no place to go. As a last resort, Hyojin had to teach Naruto himself. Fortunately, Hyojin is now Naruto. No matter how he gets close to Naruto, how he instructs Naruto, the village will not doubt his motives, let alone monitor his interaction with Naruto. And he can also take this opportunity to teach Naruto, the child of prophecy, and at the same time, to gain a good impression. After taking a closer look at the wooden stake destroyed by Rasengan, Naruto said impatiently, "Naruto-sama, teach me this move now." "Okay." With a smile, Hyojin continued, "Calling me Naruto-sama is too strange, you can just call me sensei in the future." Naruto asked cautiously, But aren't you Ningxi's sensei?" Looking at Naruto's puzzled and expectant expression, Hyojin rubbed Naruto's head. "I can accept more than one disciple." Naruto immediately asked with joy, "Then are you willing to accept me as your disciple?" Kuroto said with a straight face, "That depends on your performance. It's not so easy to be a Hokage's disciple. If you can't bear the hardships, I won't accept you as a disciple." Kuroto said with a straight face. Naruto nodded repeatedly. "As long as you are willing to teach me ninjutsu, I am not afraid of hardships." Hyojin said with a smile. "Well, if you perform well, not only will I consider accepting you as my disciple, but I will also treat you to ramen at night." "Really?" Naruto was taken aback and immediately said with emotion, "Sensei, you are a good person." Hyojin's face darkened. Naruto then said, "In addition to the ninja school, you are the second person who is willing to teach me ninjutsu alone." Hyojin was a little curious. "Really, who was the first?" Naruto replied, "Orochimaru sensei. On another training ground." Bang! After kicking Sasuke, Kakashi asked lazily, "Is Uchiha's genius only at this level?" "Humph." Sasuke, who fell to the ground, snorted softly and immediately got up. His face was full of eagerness, and the 3 Tomo Sharingan in his eye sockets also flashed with a strange brilliance. Seeing this, Kakashi said to himself, "Hey, it's exactly the same as what Kuroto said." It was not Jiraiya's arrangement to let Kakashi train Sasuke, but Hyojin's special assignment. Just like Rasengan and multiple Kage technique are extremely compatible with Naruto, Kakashi's Chidori Ryu is also very compatible with Sasuke's character. And Kakashi also belongs to Jiraiya's faction. He is responsible for the special training of Sasuke, as Jiraiya's disciple is also a matter of course. Just at the beginning, Kakashi was a little puzzled by Hyojin's request. He didn't understand why Hyojin insisted on him to train Sasuke at the level of a Jonin. After all, although Sasuke has awakened the 3 Tomo Sharingan, he is still only 11 years old, and he will graduate from the ninja school next year. He is far from reaching the level of a Jonin. He didn't understand why Hyojin insisted on him to belittle the Uchiha clan to stimulate Sasuke. Now seeing Sasuke full of fighting spirit, and the Sharingan in his eye sockets is even more energetic, Kakashi vaguely understood why Hyojin deliberately arranged this. Kakashi-sensei, although you are very strong, but underestimating our Uchiha clan will pay the price, Sasuke said while fully activating the Sharingan to capture Kakashi's movements. 3 ink-colored Magatama slowly rotated in his scarlet eyes, his body slightly leaned forward, his hands quietly reached into the ninja bag around his waist, and his chakra was ready to fire. Kakashi furrowed his brows. Sasuke's performance was somewhat beyond his expectations, making him feel that he was not facing a rookie who was still in the ninja school, but a real ninja. At this moment, Sasuke shouted, "The honor of the family is guarded by me, and I will defeat you with my own hands like my father." After that, his hands suddenly pulled out the ninja bag and shot several shurikens at Kakashi. Swish, 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 the shuriken whistled through the air, creating a series of wind-breaking sounds. Kakashi immediately put away the laziness on his face and took out a kunai with a serious look. Clang clang. After blocking Sasuke's shurikens, Kakashi found that Sasuke was quickly making seals while attacking him. This is Great Fireball Technique? Recognizing Sasuke's ninjutsu, Kakashi also began to make seals. Fire Release. Great Fireball Technique. Earth Release. Earth Flow Wall. Almost at the same time, the two of them launched their ninjutsu. Boom in the roar, as Kakashi expected, Sasuke's Great Fireball Technique was blocked by his Earth Flow Wall. However, the constant cracking sound from the Earth Flow Wall undoubtedly showed that it was not easy for his Earth Flow Wall to block this Great Fireball Technique. Swish at this time, a figure suddenly flashed behind Kakashi, and suddenly waved the kunai in his hand to stab Kakashi. This figure was naturally Sasuke. When he saw that Kakashi did not seem to notice him, the corners of his mouth rose, and a proud smile appeared on his face. He said, "Is this the village's agent Naruto? It's just SOSO. Here's the first one, asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes." Chapter 902. Whoosh, the kunai with a cold light stabbed towards Kakashi's back. Sasuke even deliberately shifted the angle to avoid Kakashi's vital part on his back. "This is the price you pay for looking down on our Uchiha clan." Seeing that the kunai was about to stab him, Sasuke's smile spread out completely. But at this moment, Kakashi suddenly turned around and grabbed Sasuke's hand that was holding the kunai. "You?" Kakashi's reaction surprised Sasuke. The moment Kakashi turned around, the 3 Tomo Sharingan in his eye sockets had already captured Kakashi's movements, but his body couldn't keep up with the inside of his eyes, so it was too late to make any response. Almost instantly, Kakashi grabbed Sasuke's arm that was stabbing towards him and slammed it on the ground. Bang! In an instant, Sasuke fell to the ground awkwardly, making a low muffled sound. Sasuke, who was thrown to the ground, shook his head and wanted to get up immediately, but as soon as he got up, he staggered and fell again. Looking at Sasuke on the ground, Kakashi secretly said in his heart, "Tisk, this kid is not simple." From the confrontation just now, He found that Sasuke's foundation was no worse than his when he was 11 years old. What he lacked was only combat experience and a set of tactical system that matched himself. When Kakashi became a Jonin at the age of 12, under the guidance of 4 generations, he understood the importance of a set of tactical system that matched himself, so he developed Chidori and explored a set of tactical system that focused on thunder release, which greatly enhanced his lethality on the battlefield. And Sasuke's current problem was that whether it was ninjutsu, taijutsu, or genjutsu, he knew a little bit of each, but he couldn't form an effective cooperation with each other, and he didn't have his own routine. Damn it. After a while, Sasuke climbed up from the ground and stood firm. Kakashi waved his hand and took out a intimate paradise from the ninja bag around his waist and flipped through it. As he turned around and walked out, he said, "I didn't expect you to be so weak that you didn't pass today's assessment." Sasuke suddenly became anxious. "Stop, I haven't lost yet." With that, Sasuke rushed to Kakashi regardless. This time, Kakashi didn't even look back. He turned around and kicked Sasuke, who was rushing towards him, and kicked him hard until he hit a big tree to stabilize his body. And Sasuke, who fell on the big tree, gradually slid down, and scarlet blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Kakashi said coldly, "You should also know that Jiraiya's last disciple is the village's 4 generations Naruto. With your current appearance, it's best not to claim that you are Jiraiya's disciple, lest you embarrass Jiraiya." Looking at Kakashi's back as he left, Sasuke's face was full of unwillingness and embarrassment. After a while, Kakashi met with Hyojin. Hyojin asked, "How's it going on your side?" Kakashi praised him generously. "Sasuke is stronger than I expected. As expected of the genius Uchiha, who awakened the 3 Magatama Sharingan at the age of 11. Hyojin nodded. The 3 Magatama Sharingan was indeed a hurdle, but any Uchiha who successfully awakened the 3 Magatama Sharingan would not be too weak. Kakashi also asked with concern, "By the way, how's it going on your side?" "Naruto." Shaking his head, Hyojin smiled bitterly. "That kid sometimes gets it with a little bit, but sometimes he doesn't get it no matter how I teach him. It's really troublesome." In terms of teaching disciples, Hyojin actually did not have much experience. However, he knew that Naruto was the prophecy's child, and as long as he grew smoothly, he would be able to step into the 6 paths level in the future, so he was more patient than others. Kakashi said sincerely, "I'll have to trouble you on Naruto's side." Because of 4 generations' relationship with Naruto, he was very willing to guide Naruto, but he also knew that Naruto's style was completely different from his, so his guidance might not be effective on Naruto. In comparison, today's Sasuke was inexplicably to his liking, and he was very similar to when he was a greenhorn. Hyojin said, "Don't worry." After a moment of silence, Kakashi asked, "Is it really necessary for us to go to this extent?" "Of course." After a pause, Hyojin's tone became much more serious. "The sooner they grow, the lighter the burden on our shoulders will be. No one can protect them forever, they can only rely on themselves." Kakashi was a little worried. "But I'm so strict with Sasuke, will he hate me? Will the Uchiha clan have any objections?" Hyojin said confidently, "The stronger and stricter you are, the more Sasuke will respect you. As for the Uchiha clan, you don't need to worry." Glancing at Hyojin, Kakashi was a little puzzled. "Why are you so sure?" Hyojin smiled. "Anyway, you don't have to worry about these." Obviously, Kakashi did not know that in the original time and space, he had wholeheartedly taught Sasuke all his skills, but when Sasuke found that he could no longer learn anything from him, he resolutely betrayed the village and joined Orochimaru, and even almost killed him later. Therefore, for Sasuke, as long as you were stronger than him, he would respect you, even if it was Orochimaru in the original time and space, who obviously coveted his body. In the land of the Uchiha clan. In the night, Sasuke limped into the house and happened to meet Itachi. Itachi looked up and down at Sasuke. Did Senior Kakashi pass the assessment today? Sasuke did not dare to look directly at Itachi's eyes, so he lowered his head and shook his head. Itachi sighed in disappointment. Sure enough, it's still too difficult. Listening to Itachi's sigh, Sasuke's heart tightened and he suddenly blushed. Brother, Itachi raised his hand and interrupted Sasuke. Father and mother are still waiting for you in the backyard. Go there quickly. Yes. Sasuke responded with a gloomy expression, and then slowly walked toward the backyard. A moment later, Hyojin walked out of the shadows, his eyes still in the direction where Sasuke had left. Itachi put away the disappointment on his face and asked curiously, Senior, is this really useful? Hyojin, who was thinking, shook his head. It's hard to say at the moment. Let's go and take a look. When they arrived at the backyard, Hyojin and Itachi did not enter the house. Instead, they hid in a shadow in the courtyard. After a while, Sasuke walked out of the house, his eyes full of guilt, and there were still faint traces of tears on his cheeks. Obviously, Fuyue had done as Hyojin had instructed. At this time, both Hyojin and Itachi carefully observed Sasuke, who was standing alone in the yard. Here's the second update, asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Also, thank you to the students who gave gifts yesterday. Thank you everyone. Chapter 903. In the small courtyard, Sasuke lowered his head. The cold moonlight shone on his body, allowing people to see that his clenched fists were trembling slightly, and his chest was also moving up and down violently. There is no doubt that Sasuke is very emotional at the moment, even if he is deliberately suppressing it. His body clearly reflects his true feelings. Hyojin, who has opened the Tenseigan, was stunned. In the vision of his Tenseigan, he can accurately see that the chakra in Sasuke's body is fluctuating strongly. Itachi on the side was also startled, and his face showed a rare look of surprise. There is no doubt that he also noticed the changes in Sasuke's body. It seems that in an instant, the chakra on Sasuke's body became colder than before. As a member of the Uchiha clan, Itachi is very clear about the significance of this change. The strength of the Sharingan's pupil power is actually the external manifestation of the strength of the Yin chakra. The stronger the Yin chakra contained in the body, the stronger the pupil power of the Sharingan. And because of the attribute of chakra, the Yin chakra gives people a feeling of coldness. Therefore, the stronger the pupil power of the Uchiha, the colder the feeling it gives people. This is also the reason why Naruto, who is good at Changyang chakra, dislikes the Uchiha clan from the bottom of his heart. In the eyes of Naruto, the Uchiha clan is born with original sin, and the stronger the Uchiha, the more evil he is. Sasuke's chakra suddenly became a lot colder, which undoubtedly shows that the strength of the Yin chakra in Sasuke's body has increased. In other words, just now, Sasuke's Sharingan pupil power has significantly improved. After Sasuke limped out of the small courtyard, Hyojin said to Itachi next to him, "Did you find it?" Itachi nodded. "Senior, your method is indeed effective." Because he has also awakened the Manjikyu Sharingan, Itachi also has some experience on how to stimulate and awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan, but he didn't expect that Hyojin would be able to find the best mood to stimulate Sasuke's Sharingan so accurately. Hyojin smiled proudly. This was partly due to Itachi's efforts. This was because in the original space-time, Itachi had also tried many ways to agitate Sasuke. For example, he had used Tsukuyomi to repeatedly replay the scene of his parents being killed to Sasuke, such as being beaten up, humiliated, etc. But reality proved that Sasuke didn't fall for it. Genjutsu, beatings, and even verbal humiliation can indeed irritate Sasuke and make him lose his mind for a while, but apart from stimulating Sasuke to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan, Itachi's various attempts after that, not to mention stimulating Sasuke to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan, even making Sasuke awaken the Magatama was difficult. In short, when it comes to Sasuke, Itachi, who has always been sensitive, will always have a variety of judgment errors. As a bystander, Hyojin easily discovered the difference between Sasuke and the ordinary Uchiha. Ordinary negative emotions have a very poor effect on him. Simply put, killing Fuyue is far less effective than letting Fuyue, whose eyes have been taken away, wander in front of Sasuke every day, which brings great stimulation to Sasuke. The vicious humiliation of the enemy is far less stimulating to Sasuke than the faint disappointment of his relatives. Just now, Itachi's casual words at the door easily touched Sasuke's heartstrings, causing his emotions to rise and fall in an instant, and the disappointment of Fuyue, who had lost his eyes, made the yin-yang chakra in Sasuke's body strengthen a lot at a speed visible to the naked eye. Itachi then asked, "Senpai, when do you think Sasuke will be able to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan?" "I don't know this." After shaking his head, Hyojin said, "But as long as the yin-yang chakra in his body is strong enough, awakening the Manjikyu Sharingan will be a matter of course, so what we have to do now is to stimulate him to become stronger." Itachi nodded hurriedly. Itachi is not disgusted by Hyojin's behavior of manipulating Sasuke's life. Not only Itachi, but even Sasuke's parents are willing to cooperate after learning that Hyojin is doing this to stimulate Sasuke to awaken the Manjikyu Sharingan. Because for the Uchiha clan, who have engraved the pursuit of power in their genes, as long as they can obtain stronger power, their personal will can be temporarily suppressed or even ignored. Whether it is Itachi, Fuyue, or Mikoto, they have poured all their love for Sasuke, but they have ignored Sasuke's personal will. Hyojin has worked hard to avoid the destruction of the Uchiha clan, to prevent Sasuke from being alone, so he must use some means to make Sasuke have the same strong desire to become stronger as he was in the original time and space. At this time, Hyojin asked, "How is Ningxi?" Itachi smiled and said, "Ningxi's talent is very high, whether it is taijutsu, insight, or on-the-spot judgment, they are all excellent." Hyojin gently nodded. "Well, I really can't find time to guide him during this period of time, so I'll have to trouble you." Itachi solemnly said, "Senpai, please rest assured, I will definitely guide Ningxi well." Letting Itachi train Ningxi instead of Sasuke is a decision that Hyojin has made after careful consideration. On the issue of Sasuke, whether it is Itachi or Jishue, they both spoil him too much, which is not a good thing for Sasuke. Although Shinichi does not have this problem relatively, Shinichi's tactical style has been bound to his Manjikyu Sharingan. Because he can turn back time for a short time, Shinichi's fighting style is very radical and reckless. Once Sasuke gets used to his style, even if he has 10 lives, it won't be enough to kill him. Therefore, Hyojin chose Kakashi. Relatively speaking, Sasuke is more suitable for Kakashi's set of ninjutsu and a small amount of genjutsu. As for Ningxi, his combat talent is actually very high, and with his own Byakugan, he can carry out high-precision analysis of the battlefield. Therefore, Hyojin asked Itachi to guide Ningxi, not to teach Ningxi many powerful ninjutsu, but to guide Ningxi on how to analyze the battlefield and how to analyze the enemy. In this regard, Itachi is the best in Mai, and can even be said to be the best in the entire shinobi world. Being able to get guidance from a strong person of Itachi's level is definitely a very rare opportunity for Ningxi. Because in the final analysis, the upper limit of Ningxi is much lower than Naruto and Sasuke. If they develop step by step, Naruto and Sasuke have the backing of Sage of Six Paths, and as long as there is no accident, then they will have the strength of Six Paths. As for Ningxi, in the Fourth Shinobi War in the original world, he was no different from cannon fodder. Just like many ninjas, he died casually under the Yoi attack and ended his life being bound by fate. Therefore, if Ningxi wants to catch up with Naruto and Sasuke, he not only needs guidance, but also a backing that is not inferior to Sage of Six Paths. And Hyojin is working hard in this direction. The first update is here. It's going to be a new week soon, and the leaderboard will be updated. I implore everyone to recommend and support it. It's nothing, please. Oh, please. Chapter 904. Hyojin has no doubt that Ningxi will smoothly become a Jonin or even an elite Jonin in the future, and if coupled with the wild boar that he gave to Ningxi, it won't be difficult for Ningxi to enter the Kage level. But that's the end of it, because the strength of the Kage level is already the ceiling of most people in the shinobi world, and this ceiling is no exception for Ningxi, who was born in the Hyuga clan. In fact, there are only two ways for Ningxi to break through this ceiling. The first is to repeat the choice that Hyojin made in the past and inject Geno Serum to fight for the slim probability of 1% or even less than 1%. This is just like trying to draw an SSR with only a probability of less than 1%. There are indeed people who can achieve this, but there are only a few of them out of 1,000 or even 10,000 people. At that time, Hyojin was in a desperate situation and had no choice. Moreover, ignorance is bliss, and he had no concept of the success rate of the Geno Serum. If he was given another choice now, he might not dare to inject the Geno Serum as decisively as he did in the past, because in terms of probability, injecting the Geno Serum is really a 9 out of 10 chance of death. No, it's much more dangerous than a 9 out of 10 chance of death. The second is the gift that the Sage of Six Paths gave to Naruto and Sasuke in the original spacetime. Naruto and Sasuke, who were a whole level away from the six-path level, received the gift of the Sage of Six Paths. One obtained the power of Yang of the six-path level, and the other obtained the power of Yin of the six-path level. Naruto, who had obtained the Yang energy, had the ability to condense the truth-seeking ball. He also created a new left eye for Kakashi's flesh and saved Guy, who should have died after opening the 8th gate of death. With the help of the power of Yin, the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan has not only evolved into the Rinnegan, but also the 6 Magatama Rinnegan, which is different from the ordinary Rinnegan. Not only has it gained incredible spacetime techniques, such as the Heavenly Hand technique, but it also has the ability to touch the truth-seeking ball. One must know that the truth-seeking ball is a godly artifact in the shinobi world. Ordinary people and things will be decomposed as soon as they touch it. Only those who have the six-path chakra or have mastered the senjutsu chakra can touch it, but Sasuke obviously hasn't mastered any senjutsu. One has the truth-seeking ball, and the other has the ability to touch the truth-seeking ball. Based on this alone, it was clear that after receiving the Six Paths Celestial's gift, their strength had risen from the shadow rank to the weak Six Paths Celestial. And the gift from the Sage of Six Paths doesn't come for no reason. In the entire shinobi world, only Sasuke, who is the reincarnation of Otsutsuki Indra, and Naruto, who is the reincarnation of Azura, have the possibility of receiving the gift from the Sage of Six Paths. As for the others, don't even think about it. Therefore, if Ningxi wants to break through the ceiling and achieve the same achievements as Naruto and Sasuke, he can only wait for the gift from Hyojin. Of course, the premise is that Hyojin first becomes a Kekii net. This is the reason why Hyojin didn't personally guide Ningxi, because it doesn't make much sense. As for the other potential stocks in the ninja school, Kuroto has also made arrangements for them one by one. These children may not be able to be like Naruto and Sasuke in the future, but once they grow up, they will definitely become a force that can't be underestimated. For example, Sakura, who is easily overlooked, had a relatively bright performance in the 4th Shinobi War in the original story. Zyuen, who has the power of a Miko, was born with the power of a tailed beast. All she lacks is taijutsu, battlefield analysis, and the use of chakra. The same goes for the new generation of Inoshikacho, Xiaoli, and the others. As long as they are carefully trained, they will at least become an elite jonin. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, more than 4 months have passed. In these few months, the shinobi world hasn't been peaceful. Kumo, Mist, and Rock are still frantically searching for Akatsuki organization, hoping to rescue the Jinchuriki that have fallen into the hands of Akatsuki. Mai is also searching for Akatsuki organization, while inquiring about the news of the defected Danzo, hoping to eradicate Danzo, who has become the public enemy of the shinobi world. The Hyuga clan is still worried about Hyuga Aoki, and in order to find out the whereabouts of Hyuga Aoki, they even issued a bounty in the black market. Some members of the Uchiha clan are also quietly inquiring about the news of Amatsukami. It can be said that in the past few months, the most active people in the shinobi world are the ninjas who collect intelligence, and the black market, which was once jointly destroyed by the 5 great shinobi villages, has also shown signs of recovery due to the frequent intelligence transactions. In a secret base of the Akatsuki organization, the heart-wrenching screams penetrated the rock walls and reached the ground. Fei Duan, who had just returned to the base after collecting intelligence, curled his lips and said, "Scorpion, don't tell me he's doing some disgusting experiment again." Kakuzu, who was carrying the money box, said, "It has nothing to do with us. Every time Kakuzu goes out, he never returns empty-handed, and this time he made another transaction and earned a lot of money." Suddenly, Fei Duan stopped and pricked up his ears to listen for a while before muttering, "Why does this sound so familiar?" Kakuzu frowned and also listened carefully, and immediately said, "This is the voice of the Six-Tails Jinchuriki." Hain't suddenly understood. No wonder it sounds so familiar. In the depths of the base, in an operating room. Standing beside the operating table, Sasori clapped his hands and said with a chuckle, "It's done!" At this time, his body has been replaced with the Byakugan from Hyuga Aoki's puppet, so it's much easier for him to perform human surgery. Not far away, Obsidian glanced at the operating table, and then winked at Sasori who was beside him. Sasori immediately stepped forward and activated the Byakugan, concentrating on observing the Six-Tails Jinchuriki on the operating table. After a long time, he slowly nodded and said, "Well, all the sealing techniques have been implanted in the designated positions." Sasori grinned and turned to Nagato in the operating room and said, "I told you long ago, this kind of surgery is not a problem at all for me." Nagato didn't answer and just walked to the operating table with an indifferent face. On the operating table, because of the implantation of the sealing techniques, the Six-Tails Jinchuriki's wailing stopped abruptly, and his whole person seemed to have lost his soul, falling into a sluggish state. Sasori said, "Don't worry, no one knows the human body better than me. The plan I designed is absolutely foolproof." Nagato asked lightly, "Then can we start?" Sasori nodded. Well, although his body is still alive, his consciousness has been completely sealed, and he is no different from a corpse. As long as you insert the black stick and connect it to the sealing techniques implanted in his body, you can make him into a new 6 paths of pain, and control the 6 tails in his body through the Rinnegan. Obsidian stepped forward and asked, "Nagato, which path are you going to make him into?" Nagato pondered for a while and replied, "The path of the human realm." The second update, the list will be updated on Monday. I implore everyone to recommend and support it. It's just a small effort. I hope everyone will not be stingy. In addition, I would like to thank the classmates who gave gifts yesterday. Thank you everyone. Chapter 905. Obsidian chuckled. Sure enough. The human path of the 6 paths of pain has the special ability to read memories and extract souls. It is one of the 6 paths that specifically targets spiritual bodies. Letting Yu Gao, who was the fastest among the captured Jinchuriki, take up the role was undoubtedly the most suitable choice. At this time, Nagato's eyes moved to the operating table. If the experiment of making the 6-tailed Jinchuriki into human path is successful, then the remaining 2-tailed Jinchuriki, 4-tailed Jinchuriki, 5-tailed Jinchuriki, and 8-tailed Jinchuriki that were captured by the Akatsuki will also be made into new 6 paths of pain. The 2-tailed Jinchuriki will be made into the animal path, that specializes in psychic communication. The 4-tailed Jinchuriki will be made into the Naruto path, that specializes in torture and repair. The 5-tailed Jinchuriki will be made into the Azura path, that specializes in mechanical transformation and weapon psychic communication. The 8-tailed Jinchuriki will be made into the Hungry Ghost path, that specializes in chakra absorption. In this way, together with the Tendo made from Yahiko's corpse, this new batch of 6 paths of pain, that is mainly made from the Jinchuriki, will be created. And the idea of using the Jinchuriki to create 6 paths of pain is not a recent idea of the Akatsuki. After the last batch of 6 paths of pain was destroyed by Danzo alone, Nagato felt that the strength of the 6 paths of pain made from ordinary corpses was too low and not enough to deal with powerful enemies. So after that, he didn't rush to add 6 paths of pain. Whether it was the attack on the rock village or the capture of Naruto and Fu not long ago, he personally took action. On the other hand, because of the lack of 1 tail, before the resurrection of 10 tails, the captured Jinchuriki can only be temporarily imprisoned and can't be executed. But imprisoning a powerful Jinchuriki is not an easy thing to do. Previously, when there was only 1 Jinchuriki, the Akatsuki had an easy time keeping an eye on him, but with the addition of 4 tails, 5 tails, 6 tails, and the most troublesome 8 tails Jinchuriki, the pressure on the Akatsuki became greater and greater. Making the 5 human pillars into the 5 missing paths of the 6 paths of pain was a good thing that killed 2 birds with 1 stone. This could strengthen the strength of the 6 paths of pain, giving each pain the strength of Jinchuriki, the chakra's amount of tailed beasts, and the miraculous Rinnegan. He could also place the captured human Jinchuriki under the control of Nagato's Rinnegan, causing these powerful human Jinchuriki to completely lose their ability to resist. The only problem was how to turn these living human Jinchuriki into corpse-like walking corpses. Coincidentally, Sasori, who is good at human body transformation and consciousness sealing, is the top expert in this field. Kuroto has completed the transformation of his body into a puppet a long time ago and sealed his consciousness in a special cylindrical container in front of his chest. Just like Orochimaru, Kuroto has found another way to achieve immortality. It's just that Orochimaru chose the biological path, while he chose the mechanical path. Under Sasori's attempt, the 6 tails Jinchuriki on the operating table was made into a walking corpse that clearly had sound bodily functions, but had no consciousness. It didn't take long for Nagato to insert the black stick into the designated positions one by one, connecting with the seals that had been implanted into the body of the 6 tails Jinchuriki before, and completely controlling the body of the 6 tails Jinchuriki. In an instant, the unconscious 6 tails Jinchuriki opened his eyes. It's just that the pupils in his eye sockets were no longer the original brown, but turned into lavender Rinnegan with circles of lines. Seeing Yugao's pupils turn into Rinnegan, Sasori and Obsidian on the side both smiled. The appearance of the Rinnegan not only means that Yugao's body is completely controlled by Nagato, but it also means that the 6 tails in Yugao's body is also controlled by the Rinnegan. And the control of the Rinnegan over the tailed beasts is better than the Sharingan. After confirming the control of the new human path, Nagato nodded with satisfaction and said to Sasori, "As you said, the body of the Jinchuriki is indeed the best material to make the 6 paths of pain." Sasori smiled and said, "Only you, who have the Rinnegan, can do this kind of thing, others can't control the Jinchuriki." Nagato didn't care too much about Sasori's compliment and instead ordered, "Immediately arrange the surgery for the other Jinchuriki." Sasori nodded gently, "Don't worry, I will be able to complete the surgery for the other 4 Jinchuriki in 2 days at most." Nagato didn't say anything more, and directly left the operating room with the newly completed human path. Obsidian quickly followed and asked, "What are you going to do next?" Nagato's face was solemn. "When the new 6 paths of pain is completed, I will personally go to Mai to capture the remaining Jinchuriki." Obsidian was silent for a moment, then said, "Isn't this too risky? You may not be a match for Yama now, not to mention the other members of Amatsukami and the 5 great shinobi villages." Nagato said lightly, "This battle is inevitable." Obsidian nodded. He also understands that Amatsukami is a hurdle that they can't avoid in order to resurrect Jubi. This battle is unavoidable, and with the new 6 paths of pain, Nagato may not necessarily have no chance of winning. After a while, Obsidian said, "We have confirmed the news that Uchiha's rebellion that night was suppressed by Amatsukami, and Patriarch Uchiha Fue's Manjikyu Sharingan was also taken away by Amatsukami." Nagato glanced at Obsidian. "What are your plans?" Obsidian smiled. "Fue's Manjikyu Sharingan was taken away by Amatsukami. This means that the Uchiha clan and Amatsukami are completely irreconcilable." "You want to incite the Uchiha clan?" After a pause, Nagato said flatly, "With that traitor Shinichi, do you think the Uchiha clan will dare to cooperate with us?" Obsidian said with a playful look on his face, "When Fue was still the patriarch, Uchiha might have been drawn to Amatsukami, but now Fue has become a dead knot between Uchiha and Amatsukami. The current patriarch Uchiha is Fue's eldest son. If he had to choose between Amatsukami and Amatsukami, he would never side with Amatsukami." Nagato thought for a while. Obsidian continued, "And I also heard that the Hyuga clan is looking for Hyuga Aoki, which means that they don't know that Hyuga Aoki has died in the hands of Yama Otsutsuki samurai. We can also use the method of Hyuga Aoki to get rid of the caged bird, to lure Mai's 5th generation Naruto Hyojin to assist us in dealing with Amatsukami." Nagato nodded and said, "Go do it. I'm asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Thank you everyone." Chapter 906. My Village Training Ground. Bang! With a loud noise, the wooden stake that was hit by the Rasengan suddenly exploded, and sawdust splattered everywhere. Did it work? Naruto, who was panting heavily, slumped to the ground. At the same time, the shadow doppelganger beside him, who helped him release the Rasengan, turned into a puff of white smoke and dissipated with the wind. After taking a breath, Naruto quickly looked around at the progress. At this time, out of the 200 wooden dummies in the training ground, there were about 120 wooden dummies left. In front of these remaining wooden dummies, there were 2 shadow clones working hard. Looking around, the entire training ground was full of Naruto. On the branch of a big tree on the side of the field, Hyojin was resting with his eyes closed. After more than 4 months of careful guidance from Hyojin, Naruto successfully mastered the Rasengan and the multiple shadow doppelganger technique. Just like in the original Space and Time, in terms of the Rasengan, Naruto still could not achieve fine control, and could not release it with one hand. He needed at least one shadow doppelganger to help him successfully. And because of the physique of the Maelstrom clan, and because of the 9 tails human Jinchuriki, the multiple shadow doppelganger technique was easy to learn. When chakra was abundant, he could easily separate hundreds of shadow doppelgangers, which was amazing. In the distance, 3 figures stood on the crown of a big tree, looking at Naruto from afar. The 3 figures standing on the crown of the tree watching Naruto were not outsiders, but the 3 generations of Naruto, as well as the consulting elders Tsunade and Jiraiya. Looking at the hundreds of Naruto practicing the Rasengan in the training ground, Jiraiya was a little worried. Isn't it too much to do this? Naruto is only 12 years old. The shadow clone technique could indeed speed up one's cultivation. After the shadow clone technique disappeared, the memories and comprehension of the shadow clone technique would not disappear. Instead, they would return to the main body and fuse with the main body's memories. However, it wasn't just the memories and comprehension that had fused with the main body. There was also the fatigue of the shadow clone. Therefore, very few people used the shadow clone technique to speed up their cultivation. This was because if they were not careful, the accumulated fatigue would wash away the main body's consciousness, causing the main body to be unable to bear it and go into shock. In severe cases, it could even be life-threatening. For this reason, the multiple shadows doppelganger technique was listed as a forbidden technique by the village and kept in the Book of Sealing. A trace of worry flashed across the faces of the 3 generations, but more of it was surprise. He did not expect Hyojin to train Naruto in this way. Judging from Naruto's current performance, he had improved a lot compared to 4 months ago. If the Naruto from 4 months ago was an ordinary genin without activating the Sage Mode, then the current Naruto was just an ordinary genin. Then the current Naruto, even if he didn't enter the Sage Mode, his strength would not be inferior to an ordinary Chunin. And once he entered the Sage Mode, to what extent Naruto's strength would rise, even with the vision and experience of the 3 generations, it was difficult to judge for a while. It's indeed a bit reckless. Even I couldn't bear such training at the age of 12. Tsunade said with her hands crossed in front of her chest, and then sighed with emotion. But I didn't expect Naruto's perseverance to be so strong. It really makes me look at him in a new light. With Naruto's physique, it was not a big deal to create hundreds of shadow clones. This was the ability of his bloodline, and Tsunade thought that she could do it too. But the fact that Naruto could grit his teeth and persist, resisting the fatigue and pain caused by the shadow clones breaking, and training for a few months at a time was far beyond her expectations. At least, she couldn't have done this when she was at his age. The 3 generations nodded and said, "Well, Kuroto's vision is very sharp. He discovered Naruto's strengths and taught Naruto according to his aptitude. In just a few months, he dug out Naruto's potential." Jiraiya was silent for a while, and finally nodded. Although he felt that the training method that Hyojin formulated for Naruto was too radical, he had to admit that Naruto's progress was very fast, far beyond his imagination. At this time, the 3 generations suddenly asked, "How is Sasuke?" The corner of Jiraiya's mouth raised, and he said with a smile, "Although that kid is from the Uchiha clan, he is indeed a genius not inferior to the Minato clan. Except for his gloomy temperament, everything else is almost impeccable." In the past 4 months, Naruto was not the only one who grew rapidly. Sasuke, who was constantly stimulated by his family, has also worked hard in the past few months, crazily absorbing Kakashi's ninjutsu and skills. At present, he has successfully mastered Chidori, and learned the skills to stimulate cells with the lightning release chakra to strengthen the body's function, coupled with his 3 Tomo Sharingan. His strength is close to the average Tokubetsu Jonin. Nowadays, Kakashi must take it seriously during training, because once he is careless, there is a possibility of failure. Tsunade frowned and said, "I went to see Kakashi's training of Sasuke a few days ago. That kid gave me a very bad feeling. He is too cold." As a member of the Senju clan, and also a medical ninja, Tsunade's perception is outstanding, so she can feel that the Yin release chakra on Sasuke is very strong, which made her instinctively feel a little uncomfortable. Jiraiya put away the smile on his face, and said in a deep voice, "It is necessary to pay attention to him. His heart is filled with revenge now. If this goes on, it will not be good." The 3 generations said, "Ideological education is also very important, don't slack off." Jiraiya nodded again and again. "Well, I know." As if thinking of something, Tsunade suddenly asked the 3 generations, "Sensei, you have seen the news from the Rock Village. Do you think we should agree?" The 3 generations pondered for a moment and said, "Don't worry, let's see what the other shinobi villages think." On the training ground. In the sunset, Naruto finally completed his training, using the Rasengan to destroy 200 wooden dummies in the field. Naruto, whose legs were trembling, came under the big tree and shouted to Hyojin, who was lying on the branch, "Son? Sensei, I'm done." Hyojin got up and glanced at the training ground. Seeing that all the wooden dummies in the field had been smashed into pieces, he nodded with satisfaction. Let's go eat ramen." Naruto, who was already exhausted, suddenly became energetic and cheered. "Great!" Looking at the tired but excited Naruto, Hyojin smiled. Naruto was so easily satisfied. He was actually a very lonely child. As long as someone was willing to accompany him, willing to care for him, he would grit his teeth and persevere, no matter how difficult the training was. It can be said that it was Hyojin's company that allowed Naruto to survive these few hellish months. Here's the second update, asking for recommendation votes, monthly votes. Also, thank you to the students who tipped yesterday. Thank you everyone. Chapter 907. After taking Naruto to eat the pigeon bone ramen with extra ingredients, Hyojin took him to the hot spring. Of course, it was a very simple hot spring, unlike Jiraiya, who loved literature and collected writing materials on the spot. In the steaming hot spring, Naruto retracted his head into the water and made bubbles. After a while, he poked his head out and let out a long sigh of relief. "Haha, it's so comfortable to soak in the hot spring after a day of cultivation." Hyojin smiled. Soaking in the hot spring can speed up your blood circulation, relax the muscles all over your body, release fatigue, and improve the quality of sleep at night. Naruto asked curiously, "Hey, there are so many benefits to soaking in the hot spring?" "Of course." After nodding seriously, Hyojin turned his head to look at the hot spring next door. He suppressed the urge to roll his eyes and grinned. "There are still many benefits that you don't know." "What are they?" Naruto came over and followed Hyojin's gaze to the hot spring next door. Hyojin retracted his gaze and narrowed his eyes. While enjoying the warmth brought by the warm water, he said lightly, "Do you think I will teach you this secret so easily?" Naruto pouted. "Sensei is so stingy." "Stingy?" With a light snort, Hyojin sneered and said, "If you don't have the strength like me, I'm afraid you will be beaten to death if I tell you this secret." Naruto was a little surprised. "Is it so dangerous?" Hyojin said with a serious face. "Even Jiraiya, one of the Sannin, has been beaten up and sent to the hospital. So this secret is not something you can know with your current strength." Naruto looked disappointed. Hyojin glanced at Naruto. "Work hard to become stronger, child. In the future, you will understand that there are many secrets in this world that are worth exploring." Seeing how serious Hyojin was, Naruto hurriedly nodded. "Teacher, I won't let you down." After soaking in the hot spring, Hyojin led Naruto back home leisurely. Ling, who had been waiting at the gate for a long time, said with a smile, "Welcome back." Naruto came up to her and said, "Sister Ling, I've successfully broken 200 wooden dummies today. I can already use multiple shadows and Rasengan." Ling gently rubbed Naruto's head and led Naruto into the house and said with a smile, "Is that so? Our little Naruto is really powerful." Looking at Naruto's smug face in front of Ling, Hyojin smiled and shook his head, then followed. Since Hyojin began to guide Naruto, Naruto directly lived in Hyojin's small courtyard. This is to make it convenient for Hyojin to guide and take care of Naruto, and also because Hyojin wants to increase his favorability faster. In this regard, the village naturally has no objection. Naruto, the Nine Tails' Jinchuriki, is the #1 target of the Akatsuki organization, which is an open secret among the senior leaders. Naruto is personally responsible for guarding him, which is a matter of course in everyone's eyes. And Naruto, who has been lacking care and love, quickly integrated into Hyojin's small family. especially Ling's gentleness, which immediately erased the estrangement, so that Naruto tasted the warmth of home for the first time, tasted the love of family, so he directly recognized Ling as his sister. On one side, there is the strict image of Hyojin, and on the other side, there is the gentle and considerate Yui. Under this dual strategy, Naruto was quickly won over. It can be said that Hyojin's attempt to increase favorability, this time, has inexplicably reached a point far beyond his imagination. Looking at Naruto lying obediently on the bed, Ling held the quilt for him and said softly, "Good night." Naruto said happily, "Good night." Just when Hyojin and Yui were about to leave, Naruto suddenly said, "Sensei, in the graduation exam 3 days later, I will definitely get the first place in my cohort." Hyojin stopped his footsteps and said, "Stop bragging." Ling patted Hyojin gently and complained, "What are you talking about?" Naruto said calmly, "Sensei, I actually know that the Rasengan and multiple Kage Jutsu that you taught me are very great ninjutsu. In the past few months I can feel that I have become a lot stronger, really stronger. So, I won't let your efforts go to waste in vain. In this graduation exam, I will definitely defeat Sasuke and Ningxi and get the first place in my cohort." Listening to Naruto's heartfelt assurance, Hyojin was a little startled. Hyojin is an extremely selfish guy. His guidance of Naruto in the past few months is more out of selfishness, as an investment in the future Naruto. It's just that in his childhood, Naruto received too little care. So even with Hyojin's selfish guidance and care, Naruto's heart has unknowingly planted a seed of kinship, giving Naruto a sense of belonging that he has never had before. After being stunned for a moment, Hyojin raised the corner of his mouth. "You are not the only one who has been improving in the past few months. For other children, especially Sasuke, Ningxi, and Ziyuan, Hyojin has also been paying attention to them. Needless to say, Sasuke and Ningxi are already geniuses, one receiving the guidance of Kakashi, the other receiving the guidance of Itachi. Their strength has been growing by leaps and bounds. And Ziyuan is becoming more and more like a ninja under the guidance of Yui and Mute. Especially with the gradual awakening of the power of the Miko in her body, during her internship in my hospital, she gradually showed a very high talent in controlling chakra. Almost like Sakura, she attracted the attention of Tsunade Hime. One must know that the key to becoming a medical ninja lies in the precise control of chakra, and this happens to be a threshold that is difficult to cross to become a medical ninja. It can be said that 90% of ninjas are stuck at this level and cannot become a medical ninja. This is also the reason why the number of medical ninjas has always been small. So when Ziyuan and Sakura showed the potential to become medical ninjas, Tsunade Hime, who has been committed to developing medical ninja, immediately paid attention to them and faintly had the intention to accept them as disciples. However, in the entire ninja world, only Hyojin knows that such an excellent Ziyuan is actually in a very heavy seal, and this seal is officially cast on her by her mother. Once the seal is unlocked, Ziyuan will instantly have a chakra amount far beyond the Kage level, and all kinds of miraculous powers of the Miko lineage. Because Ziyuan's mother once said to Hyojin with certainty that Ziyuan's talent is far beyond that of the previous Miko, and she is the strongest Miko who really has the hope to completely eliminate Morio. I'm asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes to support. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.